goes. Half game separating the teams in the Eastern Division. Very quickly, Detroit leads Baltimore 3-1 into the bottom of the fourth inning at Baltimore. Lowlich against Grimsley. Boston at New York. North Shore after 2. Lee against Medic. Now we're set for baseball, and a very big ball game for both ball clubs. It means 2 in the standings. A final meeting between these two teams, and you couldn't get a better pairing. And to bring it to you, here's the voice of the Pirates, Bob Prince.
Thank you very much, Nellie King, and hello again, everybody. They're still filing in here under what will be perfect skies for baseball. It had been forecast of about 70% chance of good weather. And the skies along about 4 o'clock this afternoon opened up to 100%. So we went from an optimistic 70 to a 100%, and we're underway here shortly. And the game, as Nellie told you, that was delayed some 10 minutes or more to accommodate the tremendous throng working its way into the ballpark. Tonight, in other words, the Cardinals front office experienced a tremendous pressure for a gate sale. They had not gone in with a big advance, as many people felt that perhaps the Cardinals, if they had won the first 2, would pretty well have it wrapped up. They have been shocked, as you know by now, as the Buccos have won the front 2 and are driving now to see if they can wrap them in 3 and thus take another game lead over the Cardinals. Then the Cardinals will be idle tomorrow as we play the New York Mets in New York, and that game time will be at 8:05. Friday night and Saturday afternoon, 8:05 and 2:15, will be also joining on television. Right, here's Rennie Stennett at 288, 7 homers, 55 runs batted in. Bobby Forsch has won 3 of his last 4. Against Pittsburgh, as Nellie told you, is 0-0. Brock, McBride, and Smith swung right in the outfield. Forsch, the right-hander. Time called by plate umpire Doug Harvey, as Simmons wants to make an equipment check. Now we're set. Bob Skinner coaching third. Over to first, Jose Pagan. Stennett had a hot bat last night. Got 3 big base hits. Scored a couple of runs. Forced the right-handers into the wind-up the pitch. Curve into the dirt. Ball 1.
It'll be interesting to see the adrenaline flowing between these two pitchers. This is a rookie season for Forsch. He's been a very poised pitcher for them. He's been favorably impressed with the way he's handled himself.
Yes, he's not at all gun-shy from what we've seen. 1 ball, no strike. This curve is inside to Stennett. Ball 2. Stennett with 184 base hits.
That actually, cautionary entry taken a very thorough rip, and they proved to be negative.
Figures he's playing. Ball 3. Telling us about Stargell's x-rays. And I have to assume they're negative, or he wouldn't be playing left field batting cleanup, Nellie.
Pretty hard to swing a bat with a broken wrist.
There's a strike as Rennie tried to run it down to first base. Doug Harvey calling the balls and strikes. Gary Dale at first, Art Williams at second, Wendelstedt at third. These 4 umpires will be with us in New York, by the way. 3 balls and a strike. Forsch delivers. He has walked Stennett. One of the things that Nellie and I have noticed in the last several weeks, besides the great improvement of Stennett in the infield, he's become more selective on the pitches to him at the plate, Nellie.
And I'll tell you, he's gotten to the point where he's talking to Manny Sanguillen, who's been up here since 1969, trying to get Manny to be a bit more selective and tell him that it's it. He's really grown up this year.
Hebner at 298, 17 homers, 64 runs batted in, a breaking ball to the outside corner for a strike. Rennie, slowly but surely, taking over as the captain of this ball club at his tender age. But he knows what he's doing now. And this young man, whose feelings were easily hurt earlier, now understands the reason for everything that went before. Strike call, Hebner backing away from a fastball that moved to the inside corner.
Now, this fellow's not going to be a high strikeout pitcher, but he will keep the ball on the ground a lot, and double plays will come off his pitching if he's pitching correctly. He's got a good, hard, sinking fastball.
The 0-2 to Hebner. Ball just missed outside.
And that was a very good overhand curveball.
Richie Hebner at 298, 17 homers, 64 runs batted in, has had 3 game-winning blows this year against the Cardinals. The outfield deep and around to the right to him. We're running with Stennett, and the ball is fouled back at count of 1-2.
He had a very good jump that time.
Yep. There had to be a hit-and-run job there, though, because of the ball 1-2 strike. Ball 1, strike 2 count. That's the one Dick Grote and Alvin Dark. Dark learned it first, and then Grote apparently picked it up. That's a great count to run on for those two men, and we were running there, a ball and 2 strikes. Here's a look now, and Force delivers, Stennett holding this time outside 2-2. You can't be running and hitting on a 1-2 count because you've got to swing away if that ball's in the zone, and Hebner did. What you're hoping there on the hit and run is Hebner get a piece of it, break up the double play ball, possibly get a gap shot. Stennett could go to third. If it's in the right gap, he could score. So you put all those combinations together when you try a play like that. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Hebner. Stennett on a walk at first, nobody out, no score, first inning. Crowd still filing in St. Louis. Force delivers on the 2-2. Hebner smangs into right for a base hit. Stennett around second, on his way for third. The throw by McBride is nowhere near the target. It's cut off, and we have runners on the corners with nobody out. And the Cardinal fan doing and awing. They're wondering what'll stop this this pirate attack. Well, it's been a funny season. I don't think of all the years I've been in baseball I've ever experienced a season like this, Nellie. Our ups and downs, the peaks and the valleys are way up and way down, and nothing in between.
That's what I say. It's like a little puppy. You try to get close to it, and the thing runs away from you, and then you go away, and he's right back at your heels licking you, and I think that's the way this ball club's been.
Pitch to Al Oliver, hits a high fly to center field deep. Bake McBride running back on the warning track. Hebner's tagging at first base. He's on his way to second as Hebner gets in there to second base, all right, and Stennett scores. There's some smart base running. The moment that Hebner saw McBride was going to have to go all the way to the wall to get that, he roared right back to first, waited for the catch, and moved into second easily where he's in scoring position. And Stennett, of course, being given a lot of congratulations for drawing the walk and coming around to score.
Now, Oliver being congratulated. I tell you, Bob, you can't hit the ball much harder in this ballpark and keep it in the park, and he just did right at the 404.
He pulls it. It's out of here a mile. Oliver drives in his 77th run, and the Bucks lead 1-0. Hebner's out at second. They're going to walk Willie to Starge.
Rich Holker's Bob is listening.
Good. I hope they need him all, and I can say here they all come. So we're going to have runners at first and second. The Cobra, Dave Parker. Well, so far, the intentional walks issued by the Cardinals for the Pirates have been very damaging to their cause. Let's hope it continues to go that way. It certainly brought a lot of second-guessing around in the papers out here. And when I stayed at the Missouri Athletic Club, that's all I heard. They were picking poor Red to pieces.
Walking Robertson the other night,
and all sorts of things. And letting Brock try to steal third. That's hindsight, Ben. Parker, 293. 450 against the Cardinals, force a strike. Parker got a bloop single to left last night to bring a big base hit to dive in a pair. He has 4 home runs on the year. It takes an off-speed pitch low. 1 ball, 1 strike. One of them against this club that like to throw the right field wall down. Ball 1 and strike 1. Bobby Force working. Runners lead at first and second. The pitch to Parker. He hits a chopper over first. It's in there for a big hit. We got a bug on the rug if Parker wants to try for it. Here's a throw by Smith into second. It's not in time. And we got another run in as Charger goes to third. Hit a bouncer over first on a big high hop and a double for Parker.
Well, Rich Shady's going to believe that he is jinxed every time he pitches to this guy. That ball was just hit where nobody could get to it. It took a high hop over the head of Joe Torre. And if you're pitching, you got to figure there ain't no justice sometimes. But Parker hit the ball hard, but the ball, unfortunately, for the Pirates, it took a very high hop over the head of Torre, and he's got a double, and Force is into some kind of problems here now with runners at second and third, and he's still only 1 out.
And runners on the corners. Schultz is out now to talk to his pitcher, Force. And Van Gien batting at 277.
You're talking about second-guessing at the Missouri Athletic Club. They'll probably do the same thing tomorrow in this inning here. Walking Stargell, who pitched to Parker. They say, look at the statistics on him. He got 18 for 40 this year and 31 for 65. But that shows you they had to set up the double play possibility and show what they think of Willie Stargell, too.
If he didn't hit the ball in such a way that it bounced over Torre's head, they had a shot to get 1 out anyhow up to second on Stargell. And surely Hebner wasn't going to be able to score. Now, Van Gien with the infield up will be the batter. And they'll indicate they'll pitch to him. They get him out. They might then walk Kirkpatrick to go to Tavares. We'll see what happens. Van Gien with a 2-0 lead Pittsburgh. Curve away, ball 1. Sangy now is batting at 377 with that infield up. Stargell at third, Parker at second. Outfield swung to the right. Forced to the windup in the 1-0. Throws a strike. Fastball over there. One ball and one strike. And the 1-1 from Porsche. Outside, ball 2-1. Fastball that time. Rick Folker, the left-hander, continuing to listen. 2-1 delivery. A breaking ball hit deep into left field. Back going Brock, going back, and kissed it. No, it's off the top wall. They blew home run.
Home run.
They said it hit the yellow line, and it's a home run. So you can kiss her goodbye off a hanging curveball. It hit high on the left field yellow line, and it's out of here. And the Pirates lead 5-0. Sanguillen has his 7th homer of the year.
They keep pitching Sanguillen away. You can see Simmons in this entire series stepping outside and setting up outside for him to pitch away and make sure the pitch is bad. But like Folker's yesterday, he hung a curveball on Stargell, and tonight he hung one on Sanguillen, and the Bucks have got themselves a good start here, 5-0.
And out goes Mr. Fort. He's had it. They're going to bring in Folker. Just a second visit.
Well, Folkers is making another appearance, and his record 6 wins and 2 defeats. He was in last night and was touched for the home run by Willie Stargell, a 3-run blow that turned out to be a very big one for the Pirates as the Cardinals made a bit of a threat in the last couple of innings. This is his 54th appearance, a record of 6 wins, 2 defeats, and he's had a couple of saves. Left-hander Rich Folkers replacing Bob Poise. Now, Bobby, get a young kid like that just in his major league first year in the major leagues in a big ball game like this. And I think sometimes you possibly try to overthrow pitches and they hang up. Jim Rucker stated that he did that one night in Dodger Stadium. He had a very good curveball and he wanted to pitch well that night against the Dodgers. It's back home for him, and he said, I was going to show them curveballs they'd never seen before. And what he did was overthrow the ball. He gave up 2 or 3 runs in the first inning and suddenly realized, hey, I better key down a little bit and just pitch my kind of ball game. But that comes with experience, and Bob Porsche will be around to pitch some ball games. This thing still has a long way to go. I like the start, though.
I'll take the 5-zip. I guarantee you. I like my chances after that. Porsche, a third of an inning for 5 runs on 3 hits, no strikeouts, and 2 walks.
That had to feel good for Manny Sanguillen, Bob. He's been struggling a bit with that bat.
And ball hit up on top of that yellow wall with Brock going up after it, and then it must have hit one of the pillars and he came back out. And the signal of a home run. The thing that I couldn't see right at the particular time until third base umpire Wendelstadt, who had gone out there, could signal home run, because Brock, you see, was climbing that wall trying to catch it. And when it bounced up there, we couldn't really tell. And it hit one of the pillars apparently in the back and came back out, thus being a home run. So for Sanguillen, his 7th home of the year and 3 runs driven in. Mighty big for the Roadrunner, El Hombre Diado. Now Ed Kirkpatrick standing in, batting at 256. 6 homers. He hits a ground ball off the right side, skids over towards Sizemore, throws him out to Here's Frank Tavares, the shortstop, batting at 256. No homers, 26 runs batted in. Well, the Cardinals know if you got to give up just like we do, you got to give up a lot of runs. The best time to do it is in the very first inning if you're going to have to do it. You still have 9 shots, and don't think you can sit on a 5-run lead against this ball club. It can't be done that easily. Pitch down inside for the corner for a strike. Philadelphia beats Seaver 6-2 in the first of a doubleheader. No score in the 1 in the end of 1 inning. Change up to Tavares high. Montreal, meanwhile, took the Cubs a pair, 3-2, 7-1. Detroit's beating Baltimore 3-1. The Yankees and Boston scoreless end at 2. Ball 2, strike 1 to Tavares. That's a big one. We'll keep our eyes open for you there. Baltimore leading by a half game. Detroit now leading 3-1 at the end of 5. There's Tavares fouling to the right out of play, 2-2. The Dodgers tonight in Atlanta. And Houston is now playing Cincinnati in Cincinnati, where the Reds lead there 3-0. The magic number in the West of the National League is down to 3. Any combination of 3 victories by the Dodgers or losses by the Reds, and it's all over. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Pitch, slamming foul off the right side. 2-2.
The team that's probably playing as good in September as anybody has been Montreal. They've had a whale of a September.
Yes, they have. And
Cardinals
they have a very fantastic October.
You hope they finish up well, don't you?
Go up there, St. Louis, and play them in that 20-degree weather. 3 night games. Swing and a foul back. Cardinals, I was asking Jim Bain, you see, if we ended up with a tie, we'd have to play them next Thursday at 1 o'clock in Pittsburgh. Joe Brown won the flip of the coin. I said, well, what do you do about getting out of Montreal? They said, we've already had that arranged. So no matter how long the game would go Wednesday night, they would come into Pittsburgh and play us at 1 o'clock Thursday in the event of a tie. The one game to decide the National League Eastern title. 2-2 to Tavares. Foul back. He's making Polker's work. Bucks have won 4 in a row against the Cardinals, 6 of the last 8. Funny thing, we've won about 6 of the last 13 games and have all been against the Cardinals. Yeah, but it's amazing. It's the dumbest looking thing I've ever looked at, how we've done it. But it works somehow or other. Let's continue to do it. In other words, while we were losing, the Cardinals weren't gaining any ground too much. 2-2. And there's a bouncer off the plate up toward first. Torrey gets it. Now on to Folkers. Just in time for the out. And man, that was close. Tavares doesn't believe it. I'll tell you, I wish we'd been TV in this game. Wow. Pagan is telling Tavares, stay in the game, don't argue with umpire Jerry Dale. 5 runs for the Pirates on 1, 2, 3 hits, no errors, nobody left. We go now to the bottom of the first, leading 5-0. All right, Lou Brock is standing in. Left-hand batter, hitting a 309, 3 homers, 47 runs batted in. Brett throws it high, ball 1. I always worry about this big inning the Pirates just had as to what it might have done to cool Brett out, who had warmed up and then had to sit it out a while. Slammer down to Sennett, bobble, picks it up and throws him out. Kept that ball right in front of his chest. It took a bad hop on him. He came up, took his time, and threw him out as he fell to the ground, and chance number 385 is in the book without an error. 6 weeks ago, he had plopped all over the place trying to get him and missed him. This guy has so matured in the last 6 weeks, it's unbelievable. He is for real, friends. Sizemore batting at 251. Off-speed pitch outside the ball. Here's the 1-0. Inside breaking ball. 2-0. Now the 2-0 pitch down the middle. In New York tomorrow night, Pizarro and Kuzman. Friday night, Royce and Matlack. Rooker on Saturday. Maybe Sadecki's had a bad bat. Foul, no, popped up. Right center. Tucker's calling. Oliver's calling. Let's do it. Oliver. Beaufort calling for it. Oliver. Brett goes Sunday, and either Seaver or McGraw. We'll have Friday night and Saturday afternoon on TV. 2 down to Reggie Smith. Batting at 312, 22 homers, 96 runs batted in. The Pirates lead 5-0. Kenny Brett, Beckheimer. Left hand's a fastball inside, ball 1. Vern Benson coaching third, John Lewis coaching first. 330 down the line, 376 right center, left center, 404 straight away. 1-0 to Reggie, changeup, hit out towards Stargell. Running up fast, Willie can't get it. It falls in for a base hit. That'll bring out the catcher, Ted Simmons, batting at 267. 19 homers, 95 runs batted in. Pirates 5. And the Cardinals nothing. In the first inning, Stennett drew a walk-off Busch. Hefner singled. Oliver slammed the drive so deep to center that Stennett scored easily from third, and Hefner tagged and went into second. That opened it up, that play right there, for Stargell to draw an intentional pass. And then Parker hit the double on the bouncer over the head of Torrey, driving in a run. And then Sanguin hit a home run, and that was it. You don't know what would have happened, for instance, if Hebner does an early tag and go to second, opening up first base. Curve outside to Simmons, ball one. One of the imponderables of this great game of baseball. End of 5.5 at Baltimore. The Tigers lead there 4-1. End of 3, Boston and New York, no score. Here's the 1-0. Simmons bounces to third. Hebner lets it go to his right. And the runner, Smith, will come to third. They'll charge Hebner with an error. So, runners at first and third. And the batter will be Joe Torre. Pierce, Buck fans from Morgantown, West Virginia here rooting for the Bucks tonight. Molly and Maury Lichter, Pittsburgh lighting team down. They flew down tonight just to see the game. Pitch to Torrey, a strike. He's batting at 281. Side should be retired. Easy ground ball by Simmons. Booted this time. No balls in the strike. I think Rich backed up, let that ball play in just a bit. Torrey taking up in on the hands, 1-1. 2 down when Reggie Smith hit a looping single. Then Simmons grounded to third, and Hebner booted it, and Smith went to third. 1 ball, 1 strike to Torrey. Pitch, high chopper, hit up slowly to Severus. On to Stennett. And the fans don't like what's happening. What have you done for me lately? No runs, a hit, 1 error, 2 left. End of 1, 5-0 Pittsburgh. Well, while they're warming up with pokers, let's take 20 seconds for our local station.
The Pirates have really got to put it together now. And if you want them to drive for 5 and take the World Series, too, now's the time to back the Bucks. Show them we're with them all the way. KDKA thinks Pirate baseball is a serious business.
All right, Kemmer Brett standing in, batting at 302, a ball outside from Polker. Outfield straight out. 2 homers, 15 runs batted in, a swing and a miss by Kemmer, 1-1. Yes, when he was a youngster, somebody had trouble pronouncing his name, so they called it Kemmer. He sort of likes that. He has it on the back of his warm-up jacket. And he slams a drive for a base hit into right center field. And that's the 4th hit. You call him anything you want. Don't call him late to swing at the plate. Man, I don't like... All the years I've been in with the Pirates, over 35 and 27 or so broadcasts, and I've never seen a pitching staff hit like our pitching staff.
I think you'd have to look around
A lot of
to find 2 guys like Brett and a rookie who will hit the ball like they have.
Royce will fight you to death up there.
The total number of hits these 2 guys have. Brett's got 27 and Rookie's got 28. You got 55 hits between them.
Here's Stennett. He walked. First time up, scored. Watch the breaking ball inside. Ball 1. 5-0 Pirates here in the top of the second. They've knocked Busch out of the box. He went 1/3 of an inning for 5 runs on 3 hits, striking out none, walking a pair. 1 intentional. The 1-0 from Folkers hit deep out into left center. Going back for it, McBride. He has room. 1 out. It'll bring up Richie Hebner. Richie singled to right in the first inning, and then his alert base running on the ball hit by Oliver to dead center very deep, sending McBride back to the warning track. He came back, tagged up, went into second. Had opened up first base, and they elected to walk Stargell to go to Parker, and Parker hit a bouncing double over first to drive in a run. And then Sanguin went downtown. Hebner watching a breaking ball away, ball 1. Pretty obvious now that 2 of the clubs have practically home free. It's not automatic, but Oakland in the West for the American and Dodgers in the West for the Nationals. They're just marking time. Cincinnati's still leading 3-0 over Houston. They've got to win them all, and the Dodgers got to lose about 4. Here's the pitch. Hard foul off outside of first. I'd like to be in their shoes right now. My stomach would be a little less queasy, Nellie.
I guess you haven't had too many easy ones. I guess the easiest one we had was 72. Mm-hmm. Won that one by about 11 and a half games.
Yep. Montreal beat Chicago. What's bad about this season, then you really get everything organized, and then your nerve ends come apart because you got to win 3 out of 5 after that foul back. That's when you really...
Those are the big ball games, the playoffs.
Sleep then, huh?
Well, it's nice to have the pleasure to go through those things.
Yes, it is. And the pulse to keep with it. You got to keep your diastolic and systolic going. Ball 2, strike 2. Hebner's jammed, hits one out into right center. McBride runs up and grabs it. Brett is back. Still this will bring up Al Oliver driving in the run with a booming long drive to center. His 77th RBI. And we were kidding Al last night. He had a ribby. Bill Stennett fell down going around third and went up to him after the game. I said, how could that Skinner hold Stennett up at third? Well, they said he said, you're kidding me. I said, no, Al. And then I started to laugh. He says, I thought you were. I said, he fell down, partner. We about came right out of his skin. 1-0, 5-0 Pittsburgh. Brett at first base, 2 down. Hooker sends it to the corner on the outside, 1-1. Philadelphia 6-9-0. New York 2-9-2. Schuler 11-15. Seaver 11-10. Seaver's pitching to try to set a record or tie one. 1-1. Swing and a miss, 1-2. He can get to 200 strikeouts. We don't know what he got today, if any. He can then have done it for 7 consecutive years, 200 or more, and that puts him in some rather elite company. Gibson would have had it, but for 2 years of broken legs. 1-2 pitch to Oliver. Knocks him flat, 2-2. You know, an unusual thing, Joe Coleman Jr. is the roommate of Al Kaline. There's a high chopper up the short. Tyson gets it, shuttles it on to Sizemore. That'll force Brett. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 left. And we go to the bottom of the second, leading 5-0. Talking about the unusual part of the 3,000th hit by Kaline. His was a double off McNally. The man before him, Roberto Clemente, got a double off John Matlack. And when Musial got his 3,000th hit, it was a double off Mo Grabowski in Chicago. But now, the unusual part about it is Joe Coleman Jr., the pitcher for Detroit, who's, by the way, a very fine golfer and sort of a semi-pro, if there is such a one, is a roommate of Al Kaline. And while Coleman pitched for Washington, Kaline had base hits off him, but also off Joe's father, who was pitching years before. So how would you like to be in the middle of a situation where a man has played 22 years, had base hits off your old man and base hits off you, and end up his roommate when he gets his 3,000? Now, that's a one-in-a-lifetimer.
Jim Bunning had the same thing. He used to room with old Joe Coleman, and he said when young Joe Coleman came up, he had a chance to pitch against him. He said, that made me start to believe how old I really was.
There have only been about 3 players that have played through 4 decades of baseball. One of them is Mickey Vernon. That's the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Or the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. The delivery to McBride from Brett's a strike. They're now loosening another left-hander. Claude Osteen. 0-1. Popped up. And Hebner over in between the mound and third base. 1 out. The Cardinals have one advantage going over us. They can go all-star with their pitching tonight. They have the off day tomorrow. Then they move to Chicago for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday while we're concluding our 4-game set in New York. Here's Reach at 274. Pirates leading 5-0, 1 out and on. Hits a high fly to center deep. Oliver breaks and goes back, turns around. 2 out. As we said last night, but if you missed it, it bears repeating even if you didn't. Out here in St. Louis, they're comparing Reach, the third baseman, with Pie Trainer and Brooks Robinson. Well, what they forgot to add was this year he's playing like those fellas played. But let me see him about 18 or 20 years. He may be fantastic, but I'll guarantee you got a long way to go to catch up to Brooks Robinson and the Pie Trainer. Because they hung it out for over 18 and 20 years with the same stellar fashion. And more power to young Reach. He's an outstanding fielding third baseman. Tyson at 218 takes it low from Kemmer Brett. I think the story would have been much better prepared or presented if they just said he's playing now like Trainer and Robinson have for years. There's a ball banged in the left. It's going to be a base hit, and I don't know what to do about this Tyson. I guess they don't know what to do about Parker, so we're even. The only difference is Tyson gets little singles. Parker knocks him for a loop. Now we're going to have Godby come up and bat here in place of Folkers. Godby, batting at 167. Right hand batting, Godby. Danny Godby. So Folkers went 1 2/3 inning and stopped it with only 1 hit, no runs, no strikeouts, and no walks. And we'll see Claude Osteen on in the 3rd with his baffling assortment of slow and slower. Pirates on top, 5-zip. Godby a strike. 2 down. Tyson at first on the second hit of the ball game for the Cardinals.
This fellow Bob originally was signed by the Reds and by Pittsburgh native Elmer Gray. The Cardinals picked him up in the draft, I believe.
Here's the delivery. Hit on a chop down to Tavares. He backs up close to Stennett. Stennett has number 387 in the hopper without a boo-boo. And the Cardinals are down without a run. At the end of 2, we lead 5-0.
Osteen is a new pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. His record, 9 wins and 11 defeats. And of course, he came over here just prior to the September 1st deadline, picked up from the Houston Astros, and most of his National League career with the Los Angeles Dodgers from 1965 through 1973. This year with Houston. His record with the Cardinals, by the way, is 0-2, and I guess the best pitching performance he has had really occurred in a 25-inning ball game in New York when he went 9 2/3 innings. Didn't give any runs, but got no decision. He'll face Stargell, Parker, and Sanguin in the top of the 3rd. The Pirates with a 5-run first inning. Chase Bob Busch. Folkers worked the first, finished that one in the second, and now Osteen to come on here in the 3rd inning. Bob mentioned one of the key plays had to be Hebner's ability to tag up and move to second base because they intentionally walked Willie Stargell. You don't know what kind of strategy that sets up. You might have had a double play possibility there. They walked Stargell. Parker got a funny double, and then Sanguin homers. 5-0. Willie, first ball hitting fouls off the first base side, strike 1. Osteen has been around a long, long time. He started his minor league career in 1957. Just about 18 years of pitching. Came up with Cincinnati in 1960. His first full season. The shift on against Willie with reach the third baseman playing at the usual shortstop position. Curveball is outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Osteen for the Cardinals. This is his 7th appearance. He's had 1 start, an earned run average of 4.29. The 1-1 pitch. He's down low. And the count of 2 balls and a strike. Osteen has had 189 Major League victories. The 2-1 pitch. Curveball, swinging and a miss by Stargell, strike 2. And the veteran, they call him Gomer. Looked like Gomer Pyle. He got that out in Los Angeles. Has a good assortment of breaking balls, and he slowed up on the sidearm curveball. Stargell had him way out in front. The count of 2-2, and the pitch. Fastball line, foul down the right field line, and out of play. Osteen, when he comes inside anymore, doesn't seem to have that good fastball that he used to have. Just losing a shade off that, and that's the determining factor in what your other pitches look like. The 2-2 pitch. He is grounding off the right side to second baseman Sizemore. Takes a high off it. He's got him at first. They had the shift on against Willie with Sizemore playing in very shallow right field, and he had time to get the ball in a very high hopping zone. Threw him out at first. That'll be up Dave Parker. They intentionally walked Stargell to get the Parker to set up the double play, and he very quickly hit a high hopping ball over the head of first baseman Torrey down the right field line for a double to drive in a run. Curveball swings and misses strike 1. He was so far out in front of that, he was halfway to the mound when he got done swinging. Not quite that far, but almost out on the AstroTurf. Pirates lead 5-0 in the top of the third. Swing and a foul off the arm of catcher Ted Simmons. Pirates trying for a sweep in this series after losing 6 in a row, and the last game they lost in that string was to the Cardinals in extra innings. Since then, they've won 4 in a row. The 0-2 pitch. And it is bounced weakly off the first base side. Osteen tried to get the ball outside, but didn't get it where he wanted to. When Osteen is right, you'll see an awful lot of ground ball outs. The 0-2 pitch. It is away with a curveball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's a very effective fastball that he keeps low, runs away from right-handed batters, a sinker type of delivery. The 1-2 pitch, curveball, pops up in the infield. Joe Torre, I believe, will make the play. Coming on, chasing off the catcher Simmons, and he retires Parker. Osteen is taking care of a couple left-handers, Stargell and Parker. He'll face Manny Sanguin now, who has hit the big blow in this ball game. A 3-run homer in the first inning off Bob Busch on a hanging curveball, scoring Stargell and Parker ahead of him. The home run by Manny, his 7th of the year. And it brings his RBI total up to 65. They'll play Manny to hit the ball to right field. A big gap for him into left center as Blake McBride shifted well into right center. Fastball away, ball 1. Red Shading's looking for some good long relief here. And hopeful that Osteen can do it. The Pirates are trying to peck away again after getting 5 in the first inning. Fastball away by Osteen. That sinking fastball, and the count goes to 2-0. Osteen, for a couple of years there, had a great record against the Bucks. We used to hit him hard and knock him out, but he'd never get a loss and wound up picking up a lot of wins. Fastball down low, and the count goes to 3-0. Ted Simmons jerking up, thinking that Doug Harvey had missed a pitch on that one, turned around and said something to him. Count of 3-0. The pitch by Osteen, and it's in there, taking strike 1. Kirkpatrick, the on-deck batter. The 3-1 pitch. He lost him, ball 4. Osteen issues his first walk, the third given up by Cardinal pitching. Force walking 2 in the first inning. One of those an intentional walk. Kirkpatrick, the first batter that Folkers faced in the first inning, bounced out to second baseman Ted Sizemore. Well, the Pirates have had a base runner in every inning. They lead 5-0 in the top of the third. Joe Torre holding at first against Sanguin. The pitch to the plate. Rounded foul. First, just past Joe Torre. Cardinals earlier in the season just dominated the Pirates, winning 5 of the first 6 ball games. 3 in a row out here very quickly. The look at first, the pitch to Kirkpatrick. He is in there, taking strike 2. Pirates' big month that got them back into the thing and out in front with a 20-win, 8-loss month of August. Just over 500 in September, but a half a game ahead of the Cardinals. Pitch away to Kirkpatrick in the count of 1-2. Well, we started with the youngster, Force, making his... It's in his first year in the major leagues, and Osteen with about 17 or 18. Quite a contrast. The 1-2 pitch bounced weakly to first base. Torre up with it, goes to second base for the out there on Sanguin. That'll retire the Pirates in the third inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left. We'll go to the bottom of the third. The Pirates lead 5-0. Well, the Eastern Division race in the National and the American League bubbling over. The Pirates, with a couple of wins here, have moved back into first place by a half game, and we'll move into New York for 4 very big ball games. And as Bob told you, they're saving their big guys for us. Kuzman, Matlack, Sadecki, and Seaver, possibly McGraw and Sunday. Then we're back home against the Chicago Cubs, a team that's been very tough for us this year. They'll be in there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. October 1st, 2nd, or September 30th, October 1st and 2nd, and that winds up the season. Hope you'll be on hand for those 3 games with the Cubs. They could turn out to be probably time for the Pirates. Lou Brock leads off the third inning with the Pirates out in front 5-0. Sizemore will follow him and Reggie Smith against Summer Brett. Brett's given up a single in the first, a single in the second inning. Got Brock to bounce out to center. His first time up. Curveball by Kenny, misses, blowing away. Ball one. The 1-0 pitch to Brock gives up high, ball two. Getting a bit enthusiastic here. Anytime you get behind on Brock or anybody, there's a big throng here, over 40,000. And this pitch is in there, taken by Brock. Strike one. The game was delayed 10 minutes to facilitate the crowd and allow them to get in here in time to see the opening inning. 2-1 pitch. Foul, back out of play. And I would guess what they saw in the first inning didn't please them too much. Maybe they wish they'd have stayed outside and come in at the bottom of the first. Because the Pirates scored 5 runs very quickly in the first inning, chasing starter Bob Busch. But it's settled down since then. 5-0 lead holding into the bottom of the third. Foul, that a play down the left field line by Brock. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brett making his 4th appearance since he was sidelined with a bad elbow. That occurred against the New York Mets on August the 6th. And get back into action in Chicago on the 10th of September. The 2-2 pitch. Line shot up the middle and picked off by Tavares. No, he can't make the play. Oh, Brock's on at first base and waits for the rolling on it. Tavares had the ball momentarily. They ruled it a big pitch. He was going to his left. If he comes up with it, he would make the play on Brock and throw him out. Tavares came up on the ball too quickly. They ruled it, however, a base hit. Ted Sizemore flied to center field in the first inning. He's the batter. Brock has stolen 116 times, and he's a threat to be stealing any time, regardless of the score. 5-0. Gives him a runner into scoring position, gets him away from the double play. Line drive, left field. Strike will go and go, and he can't get it. It's a base hit. Brock will move over to third to throw on to second base, holding Sizemore at first. And the Cardinals have something going. With a looping line drive to left field just in front of Scarzo, moves Brock into third base, and the Cardinals have a threat riding here in the third inning against Brett with runners at first and third, nobody out. Larry Dunware looking for a glove, and he's going to head down to the side bullpen. Here's the pitch to Reggie Smith, swings and misses, strike one. Both bullpens will be very active very quickly here tonight. This is a game that means 2 in the standings for both ball clubs. The difference is the Pirates being a game and a half in front or a half game behind. Bucks are back for 2. They'll give up a run to get a double play. And they don't get it. It's a base hit up the middle. 3 consecutive hits. 5-1 the score. And Brett is in trouble here. The ball gets away from Tavares and Hebner, but no advance by Sizemore. '97th RBI by Reggie Smith. Ted Simmons will be the batter. He was on an air by Hebner in the first inning. That was a well-hit ball by Reggie Smith right up the middle. Now Brock scores his 103rd run. You talk about a most valuable player, it's got to be Lou Brock. And there's people in Philly, you got to think that about Mike Schmidt, too. Not a bad choice when you come to think of it. Pirates are back for 2. Simmons wants the third. Hebner off his left field. Another base hit. Sizemore scores. Holding at second base, Reggie Smith. That was a double play ball if you ever saw one. But as soon as Hebner went to field the ball, it took a bad hop right over top of his head. And the Cardinals are getting some breaks here. They now picked up 2 runs. It's a 5-2 ball game. Still nobody out, and 4 consecutive singles of Kenny Brett. That was a sure double play ball, however, but the Pirates didn't get the bounce. Joe Torrey bounced out to shortstop Tavares in the first inning. 5-2. The Pirates leading. Sound call. I think something loose on the playing field out in left center field. Scarzo going over to retrieve it. the victim of a couple of funny plays here in this inning. Tavares just playing a ball off the bat of Brock, and Van Hoff single over the head of Hebner. It looked like a sheer double play. He's in a peck of trouble now. He's tying run at the plate. It's a fastball. He may have taken sack low. Cardinals are loosening Sonny Siebert. The Pirates loosening Larry Demery and John Moreland. The 0-1 pitch by Brett is inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Brett looking at second. The pitch underway. Looped into right field. Another base hit. This is going to score. The throw is out of the plate, and it is cut off by Kirkpatrick. The run scored. There was a play at the plate, and for some reason, Kirkpatrick cut the ball off. Nobody moving from second to third, and Kirkpatrick, for some reason, cut the ball off. Frank Ian quizzically looking at it and wondering why. With 5 consecutive hits, and Brett has come unglued here in the third inning. Cardinals are back in this thing. It's a 5-3 ball game. Still nobody out. And the 6th batter to come up in the inning, Bake McBride. I don't have to tell you, this is a partisan crowd here tonight. 40,000 plus. Ball got loose in the Pirates bullpen. Came back down to our home plate. A small delay here. Got a 5-0 lead by the Pirates. Winning away here again in the third inning against Ken Brett. 5 straight hits. McBride popped up to third baseman Hebner in the second inning. Simmons at second. Corey at first. Not much speed on the base pass there. The pitch to McBride is outside. Ball 1. Cardinals have out-hit the Pirates 7-4. But the Pirates have that 5-run first lead and just holding on to it here 5-3. The 1-0 pitch inside almost hit him. Ball 2. Tavares' bobble of the ball by Brock ruled the base hit, and the base hit by Simmons. It was a sheer double play ball. It took a bad hop over the head of Hebner, and that really has unloaded a peck of trouble here for Brett in the third inning. The 2-0 pitch. Check swing and a foul out of play down the left field line. The count is 2-1. The solid hits in this inning by Sizemore and Smith and Joe Torres, looping one into shallow right field. You talk about fans being fickle. The first inning, they were booing the Cardinals, but they're back with them again. What have you done for me lately? The 2-1 pitch. Foul back out of play, and the count of 2-2. This is going to be this type of a ball game. The Pirates will score more runs, and you've got to believe the Cardinals will too. Pitching in the first game was certainly the dominant factor in the 10-inning win, 1-0. There's Rooker and Wynn McLaughlin tucked up in a whale of a duel. But it's not the name of the game tonight. Kemmer Brett struggling to stay alive. The 2-2 pitch grounded right back to him. He throws to third to get the out there to throw to first. They better not make it because McBride can run. Simmons tried to get at Hebner to block him from making the throw, but he had no play. Now the out goes pitcher to third baseman Richie Hebner, the 4th play for the first out in the inning, and Kenny races about it. We got a double play possibility. John Osborne is coming out, and we may get a pitching change here. John Osborne, when he comes out, as he's coming now, kid usually has a hook out, but we'll wait and see. With a right-handed batter coming up, Ken Reach. I think he wants to find out how Brett really feels. And he's going to be gone, I'm sure. Brett's trying to talk him out of it, and he is really arguing right now with Don Osborne. He wants to stay in there, but he's leaving. And Brett, I'll tell you, is incensed. He won't even hang around the mound. He just threw the ball over to Osborne. Brett, dejectedly, and I shouldn't say dejectedly, but he is simmering red hot. He's leaving the mound. He would not be a good guy to talk to right now if he leaves the mound. Larry Demery will be coming on to do the pitching. Brett departing, and he is very annoyed, and he makes some passing comments as he leaves. Larry Demery coming on, and while we've got the opportunity here, let's pause 20 seconds for our local station. Well, the Cardinals have done what they wanted to do. They have dipped into the Pirates bullpen very early. The Pirates dipped into the Cardinals, too, which is something they wanted to do, and it's now a battle of bullpens. Larry Demery will do the pitching, and he'll face Kenny Reese with runners at first and second base. Demery's record on the year, 6-6, an earned run average of 4.27. And you talk about a youngster being thrown into a tight ball game. This fellow is just 21 years of age. He joined the ball club in late May, at the end of the month of May, when Bobby Moose came up with a blood clot under the clavicle. And he started very poorly, but ran together 6 consecutive wins during the hot string the Pirates had. And he's been working out of the bullpen the last 2 weeks or so after a couple of bad outings in Chicago and Montreal during the Pirates' previous Eastern Division road trip. It wasn't too successful. Well, Demery comes on to face Kenny Reese with runners at first and second. At second base, Joe Torrey. And at first base, Dick McBride. 5-3, the score. The Pirates out in front. No way Brett can get anything out of this ball game, but just a place in the stands. Ground ball, right side, left side, a base hit over third base. One runner's in, coming in from first base is McBride. He'll score. It's a tie ball game. Brought this back, I'll tell you, with a double inside the bag at third base off the first pitch by Larry Demery. And the speed of McBride has tied this thing up at 5-5. That's the 6th pitch in this inning. And the 8th in the ball game by the Cardinals, and this is quite a comeback. A double by Kenny Reese. RBIs and the speed of Big McBride most have had there as he scored easily from first base on the ball down the left field line. Mike Tyson was going to bat, but he'll be taken out of the ball game. They're going to have a pinch hitter, Jose Cruz, coming in rather early for Shandy's Bob to be making a move like this to bring in a pinch hitter, and only the 3rd inning for Mike Tyson. So he's making that move.
Yes, and he had to run out there himself. Cruz wasn't hollering loud enough to say that I'm going to do the batting. And he's trying to just keep something going right here. He wants to try to get the run, and he's taking a guy out of the ballpark that normally tears us apart. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The allowing of 2 balls to get by at third have been tough here tonight. They played him, and when I say played him, he backed up on him, and that hurt him.
Cruz the batter, and the runner at second base to go ahead run. The fastball way up high, ball 1. Well, the inability of Kenny Busch to get things stopped here in the 3rd inning. After a 5-0 lead, and the Cardinals running right at him. Got 5 hikes out in, 7 in the ball game. He leaves with 5 runs scored. Fastball a 5, ball 2. Brett goes 2 1/3. Tag for 7 hits. No strikeouts and no walks. But 5 earned runs, and he will get nothing. Runner at second base, Reese to Demery's responsibility. Tie game 5-5, the 2-0 pitch, and it's in there, taking strike 1. Pirates losing John Moreland. Sonny Siebert continues to throw in the St. Louis Cardinal bullpen. Claude O'Steen, however, is on deck. But also on deck is Keith Hernandez. Swinging and a miss by Cruz and a fastball, a 5, 2 balls, 2 strikes. This is the 8th batter to come up in the inning. The Cardinals have scored 5 runs on 6 hits. And only 1 out. The 2-2 delivery. Ground ball, right side, and off the glove of Kirkpatrick, and this is going to score. The Cardinals take the lead. for the ball. Had he let it go, Kennett had an easy play, but he jumped for it thinking he didn't. It went off his glove, trickled on into shallow right center field, and the Cardinals pick up another run. That is ruled a base hit. You talk about some funny bouncing balls in this inning. One over Hebner's head, one over the glove of Tavares, and this one off the glove of Kirkpatrick. They have not been executing too well here either. Yellow Steen's going to stay in the ballgame with a 6-5 lead. And what a comeback this has been for St. Louis. The fastball is inside on him, ball one. Still only one out. Pirates losing Moreland and Menzel. We're hurting after leading 5-0. We're trailing 6-5. Foul back out of play. And the count of 1-1. The fastball right in there. Steen is a very good hitter. He has been used as a pinch hitter, batting at .250 this season, all of them with Houston. No home runs that he's driven into. Left-handed batter. Henry tried to get that second out of the inning. Cruz leads from first, and this pitch is listed as shortstop. They're going to play it first. If he throws, he does. He got it. They double up Cruz at first base, and a bit of bad base running on his part. The ball wasn't hit well at all. A looper to shortstop, and for some reason he broke on the play, and the Pirates get out of it with a double play off the bat of O'Shea. But what a big inning it's been. You can tell in the background, 6 runs on 7 hits, no Pirate errors, and nobody left, and the Cardinals, after 3 innings, lead 6-5.
Your host for Pirate Baseball is Iron City Beer. When you're really ready to pour on the iron. Standing in now, Claude Osteen, and the Cardinals have come with 6 runs in the third to take a 6-5 lead. And as we said earlier, leading 5-0 in the first inning didn't mean you had it locked up. And the Cardinals getting 6 in the third doesn't mean they got it locked up. Each side has a lot of times left to go at it. And so Heidemann has now gone in to play shortstop for the Cardinals. Other than that, it's Osteen remaining on, and the Pirates will be coming right at him with Frank Tavares, and looks like Gene Fines is going to be the on-deck batter to go for Larry Demery. So they're all starring it here tonight, Nellie.
Yeah, pitching is not the name of the game, or it certainly hasn't been over the front 3 innings. Cardinals are using 3 pitchers. The Pirates have already used 2. They will be into our third as Demery will be leaving, and we'll wait and see who'll be coming on. As Tavares leads off the Pirates' 4th inning. He wound up the long first inning for the Pirates, and they scored 5 runs, bouncing to the first baseman who got the out at first base, the pitcher covering Rich Folke. Demery now the pitcher of record for the Pirates. Brett taking an early shower and angrily stomping off the mound and into the dugout. Tavares fouls back out of play, strike 1. Osteen, a veteran pitcher, but as we said, he struggled a bit this year with Houston and also with the Cardinals. But he leads right now 6-5 in a wild and woolly ball game here at Busch Stadium. The Eastern Division lead up for grabs. Foul off the hand of the catcher, Teddy Simmons, and the count is strike 2. Tavares tried to bunt, pushing it off the right side, but fouling it back into the glove, or the hand rather, of Teddy Simmons. They're playing him to hit the ball to right field, block a good 90 feet off the line in left field. Osteen's 0-2 pitch, and it is outside. A good fastball. That's the best one he's shown. 1 ball and 2 strikes, but the location wasn't too good. Five-run first for the Pirates, a 6-run third for St. Louis. Foul out of play down the right field line. The count holds at a ball and 2 strikes. The ball Ted Simmons hit looked like a sure double play ball. But some angels are hanging around in the infield here for the Cardinals. Took a high hop over the head of Hebner, and that kept things going. Chopping ball is short. Heidemann short hops, and he's got him at first. There's a tendency, according to Gene Alley, on synthetic infields, is to lay back on the ball and not charge it. And you figure you've got time to wait for it. But to play it, you've got to play it aggressively and keep coming in. And Heidemann did on that ball. Gene Clydes will pinch hit for Larry Demery in the 4th inning. 6-5 lead for St. Louis. In a game that's going to be talked about for a while. Gene batting at .223. Pitch in the dirt. Ball 1. Kenny Brett, who has been a big pitcher for the Pirates, or had been earlier in the season, staked to a 5-0 lead. But the Cardinals, with a couple of good breaks on some funny bouncing balls and timely hitting, put him away. Fastball in there, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Osteen's 1-1 delivery. Outside, turned the fastball over and missed 2 balls and a strike. Detroit leads Baltimore 4-2 in the bottom of the 9th inning at Baltimore. New York and Boston, no score in the bottom of the 7th at Shea. Barnes takes the pitch outside, ball 3. Well, get somebody on and get something going here for the Pirates. Stennett waiting on deck. George Medich pitching that game for New York. Bill Lee, I think, going for Boston. The 3-1 pitch. Barnes looks at a strike. Full count of 3-2. Osteen, the type of pitcher that isn't going to give you too many walks, if any at all. But draws full now, 3-2. Leading 6-5 here in the top of the 4th inning with 1 out. Here's the pitch to Gene. He started to go, but checked off, and they called him out on it. I'm going to tell you, you'd get a pretty good argument on that one. Barnes couldn't believe that call. Simmons, on the outside part of the plate, got the fastball that ran away. Klein started to swing, but checked off. And he argues very briefly with Doug Harvey, but he's called out. That's the first strikeout for Cardinal pitching. Now, if you started a ball game and gave up 5 runs in only 1/3 of an inning and didn't lose the game, you got to figure things are going your way. Bob Forrest had that happen to him. He's off the hook. Stennett winds down the right field line. Reggie Smith coming on, playing perfectly. He's got Pirates get down in order in the 4th inning. We'll see. They've brought some order back to the Cardinal pitching. They'll go to the bottom of the 4th. St. Louis leading 6-5. Well, we're into the bottom of the 4th inning in a very big ball game here at St. Louis. And the 6th pitcher of this game is coming on, 3rd for the Pirates. And that's John Moreland. Moreland has yet to win a ball game this year. His record 0-3. This is his 38th appearance, all of them in relief, and an earned run average of 3.71. And last year was a good starting pitcher for the Pirates, and they brought him up at mid-season. But this year has struggled, and primarily with control. Has not been able to get out in front too much, but he's in a situation right now. He's got to throw strikes and pitch some good long relief ball. And the first guy he's going to face is Lou Brock. He'll be followed by Sizemore and Smith. The Pirates led 5-0, in case you're joining us. In the first inning, scoring 5 runs and chasing starter Bob Forrest. Sagias capping the inning with a 3-run homer. But the Cardinals came right back with 6 in the bottom of the 3rd, chasing Kenny Brett. Here's a pitch by Moreland to Brock. It's a fastball outside, ball 1. He looks in at Harvey, couldn't believe that call. He didn't get it, ball 1. Wind up by John, the 1-0 pitch. Swinging a miss by Brock. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, Bob talks about hidden vigorish. And Moreland certainly should have some of that going. He's the only Pirate that has been here all season long that has not won a ball game. The 1-1 pitch, curve, bounced foul off 3rd, and the count of 1-2. This Cardinal crowd booing the Cardinals lustily in the first inning. And very quickly, they've come back to join the Cardinals in the 3rd. Reminds the old Branch Rickey story about how many friends you have. You have a hard time counting them on one hand, I'll tell you. The 1-2 pitch. Ground ball, shuts up. Tavares keeps this one up. He's got him at first. That'll retire Brock. Moreland broke his bat with that pitch. That's the same way Brock started off the 3rd inning. Tavares bobbling the ground ball. They gave Brock a hit on it, and that got things started. Brett gave up 5 consecutive hits before he got McBride to tap back to the mound in a force play. And he was then taken out of the ball game and angrily departed. Had some words with Osborne, and I think Mike had too. Foul, back out of play. Strike 1. You have to be annoyed when you blow a 5-0 lead. Sizemore, single in that 3rd inning. Moreland bunts it, and it's off the first base yard, picking it up to Stennett, and for some reason, Fitzpatrick went to the ball, too. Fitzpatrick misplayed that ball. Moreland had to go for the ball, but Kirkpatrick went after it too, and nobody covered first base. Well, a bit of a misplay there by Eddie. Base hit. On a punt that just got by John Moreland, Bennett stealing the ball. Had to play it first, but Kirkpatrick was well nowhere near the bat. Reggie Smith about him, batting left-handed. He's gone 2 for 2. Pirates have capped him for the last 2 ball games, and also in that series in Pittsburgh. But he suddenly has come to life here in the first 6 turns at bat tonight against Gregg. He's batting left-handed now against Moreland, and John goes over. He'll continue to throw. He'll continue to throw over there. Sizemore has about average speed. He's not the kind that's going to steal out many bases, but he's trying to keep him honest. Goes over. He's back in time. The pitch to Smith, changeup is in there, taking strike 1. Throw over, and again, Sizemore back in time. The pitch to Smith swings and misses on a breaking ball. Strike 2. If Mesa can get a good performance out of this guy and keep the ball game close up until the 7th or 8th inning, then you can go to your big guys, Justy and Hernandez. But that's something that Moreland has got to produce right here. Sizemore at first base. Kirkpatrick holding against him. 6-5 lead for St. Louis. Curveball right there. No, he hung it too high. Moreland looking into home plate umpire Doug Harvey. And St. Ian asking 2 on that last call. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Moreland's got a great curveball. Throw to first, and Sizemore again back in time. John has the National League record this year for throws to first base. He continually goes over there. Fastball way up high. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's the pitch that most pitchers would like to get a decision on. 1 ball and 2 strikes. If they can get somebody to put the ball in play on that one. Moreland again throws to first base. Crowd showing their displeasure. 6 times he's got over there on Sizemore. The pitch to Smith is outside. Ball 2. Full count of 3-2. We owe for station identification. We'll take it when we get the opportunity. Moreland again goes over to first. Cardinals leading 6-5. Pirates got a 5-run first, but the Cardinals came back with 6 runs in the 3rd inning on 7 hits chasing Kenny Britt. Sizemore going from first. The ball is fouled back out of play, and Sizemore will come back and look for 10 seconds on the Pirates Baseball Network.
All the good sports are on Pirates, KBGE Pittsburgh.
Out of 3-2 on Reggie Smith. Sizemore was going on the last pitch, and again Moreland throws over to first base to draw him back. Baltimore is still batting in the 9th inning. They trail Detroit 4-2. The runner goes from first. Trying to miss throw through to second base. He should be out. He is. Tag made by Tavares. Smith strikes out. Moreland settles down a bit here in the 4th inning. The double play. Tag in to Tavares, making out a second. No runs on a hit, no errors, and nobody left. They completed 4, and the Cardinals lead 6-5.
Okay, into the 5th inning now. Cardinals leading only by a run. They got 6 and we got 5. We can get more and they can get more. I guess that's the way both sides got to be thinking. Richie Hefner, who singled in the 1st and scored a run, and opened up the beginning for us by going up into second base. On a fly ball deep to center by Oliver. They then walked Stargell, and Parker got a fortunate double when he bounced one over first. So they've had a couple, we've had a couple. Then Stange hit a home run. We had a 5-0 lead, and Force was out of there. Folkers then came on and did his job for an inning and 2/3. And then along came the landslide, the deluge, with 7 men coming to 9 men coming to the plate in 6 runs. So we got to go at Osteen here. Hebner will be the man to face him. The infield shift a little bit on him. And he slams it up the middle, beats the shift right through for the base hit. That's the 5th hit of the ball game for the Pirates. The first off Osteen, and here's Al Oliver. Drove in a run, bounced into a force out. They had overshifted Heidemann up toward second and Sizemore over toward first. And Torrey down the line, and Hebner went right in between Sizemore and Heidemann. So the shift that time cost him a base hit. And now Oliver. They're going to play Brock, McBride, and Smith in the outfield straight away here to Al. Osteen, known as Gomer. Checks, delivers, and he sends it over the plate, but low, ball 1. 6-5 Cardinals. Bucks coming after Osteen here in the 5th. Talk about a big deal. Osteen to Houston for Jimmy Wynn for the Dodgers, the 1-0. Curve inside, ball 2, and then Osteen finally released by Houston and sent on and purchased by the Cardinals for the hope that he could do something for him, and he has. Osteen's won 9, he's lost 11. Most of that record compiled, of course, while with Houston. 2 balls and no strikes to Oliver. Hebner, a short lead at first, held by Torrey. Now Osteen again, ready. The left-hander has his sign. Oliver ducking away foul, straight back, 2-1. Baltimore batting in the bottom of the 9th, where the Tigers lead there 4-2. Lee and Medich are at it. In a 0-0 game, New York and Boston. Boston batting in the 8th. Pitch. There's the ball slammed for the gap in left center field. We got a bug on the rug, and it'll bounce away up there. Hebner will get over into 3rd without any trouble. Oliver's in at 2nd. Hebner's coming for home. Here comes the throw. He slides safe. Ball gets away. We've tied the game. Great running Hebner. Tagged the bag with his hand as he came by. Oliver a big double. Hebner is a master when he comes in. He sees which way that catcher's trying to block him. He makes a slide and just stabs with his bare hand. And he was running all the way. And on a double by Oliver, his 2nd run batted in, and the Pirates have tied it. They're going to walk Stargell again. They go to Parker. Now they got the Mad Russian or Hungarian, whatever they call him, Raboski, listening. This will be the 4th walk for the Pirates, the 2nd intentional to Stargell. Well, every time they've done it, it's hurt them, and I hope it does again. That's something partial, I know. Now, Dave Parker, he bounced a double over first back in the 1st inning. Nobody out. Pirate runners at 1st and 2nd. A run in, game tied 6-6. Now let's see how the Cardinals, they're going to come up at 1st and 3rd looking for Parker perhaps to bunt. They're back at 2nd and short. Heidemann and Sizemore. Osteen from the stretch. Delivers. Parker swings off his foot foul. Strike 1. Raboski, the left-hander listening, is going to be joined by a right-hander out there. Mike Garman. Shot up the right side of the diamond, the right center for the base hit. Oliver then hit a bug on the rug out into left center field. Barney Schultz is coming out to talk here to Claude Osteen. And we'll see whether they bring on Raboski. Nobody out with Oliver at 2nd. We did not indicate a bunt. Stargell is first on the intentional walk. This could have been a ploy as much as anything to get Raboski ready. And they want him. Alan Raboski. He has one decision against us, and then we clobbered him the next time out with a double and a home run. him to be coming into a ball game. So Claude Osteen is left. Osteen pitched 2 innings. Nobody out here in the 5th. He's allowed thus far 1 run. Is responsible for the 2 on Oliver at second and Stargell at first. He picked up 1 strikeout. He issued 2 walks, one of which was intentional, and he surrendered 2 base hits. The game now belongs to, as of this moment, John Moreland, our 3rd pitcher in relief, and Osteen, their 3rd. If anybody scores, he'll be in the soup. Roboski now going to Parker. Parker's been back toward the dugout and waiting for Roboski to finish his warm-ups. In Pittsburgh, you recall, in the extra inning game, he drew the ire of Pittsburgh fans with all of his sacking up, and he stuck it right down our throats. But in the 3rd game, they brought him in, and Stargell doubled to knock in a couple, and then Hebner took him out of the park for a 3-run homer, and we belted him all over the place. But that's one thing about Roboski. He's tough. He's won 8, he's lost 1. He has an ERA of 2.73. This is his 63rd game. Now, Mike Garman, the right-hander, toils alone in the Cardinal playpen down there in right field. Now Roboski goes off the mound, and the fans respond to it. He's talking to himself, takes off his hat, and when he comes around, he will be set to go, and he'll point to Joe Torre. He's still with his back to Parker, standing in. Time is called. Now Simmons coming out. Here comes Roboski. And Simmons went out. I think he's been told something by the plate umpire, Doug Harvey. Now Parker gets back in. Nobody out. Nothing in 1 to count. To him. Roboski. From the set position delivers. Swinging a foul. Strike 2. Sent him a curveball that time. There he goes again into the frozen row back. Back to Parker, out towards second base. Standing there in deep meditation. Parker stepping in. Now Roboski's ready. 2 men on, nobody out. 6-6 ball game, 5th inning. Here's the 0-2 to Parker. High and away, ball 1, breaking ball. He must have taken a double strike the last time. He's ready to pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Cobra standing in. Parker and Stargell lead away. Or rather, there's Oliver and Stargell lead away. The pitch. Inside on the chin, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Oliver at second base. And there goes the sight guy. Hat is off. Back to Parker. Head down. Thinking about what he's got to do here on a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Now he'll slam the ball in his glove, and here he comes. He's quite a showman. 2 balls and 2 strikes, 2 on, nobody out. 6-6 ball game, 5th inning. Roboski to Parker on the 2-2 pitch. Parker hits a hard rap down towards second. They're going to get to 1 man only. They'll never get Parker. We got runners on the corners with only 1 away. So Stargell is forced, 4-6. Put Oliver on third now, Parker at first. And put Parker up to Osteen's credibility on the substitution of runner. And bring up Sanguin with a home run and a walk. His home run in the first inning with 2 on was his 7th of the year. Roboski has psyched himself and is ready to go. Cardinal infield back at double play depth. Outfield swung to the right. Sanguin awaiting Roboski's delivery. Here's the pitch. He hits a high fly, shallow right, running hard. Reggie Smith going back Sizemore. Tagging is Oliver. Reggie Smith has the ball. And he draws the throw, and nobody can score. To the shallow right field. Now the batter will be Eddie Kirkpatrick. Bounced out to second and bounced into a force play. 6-6 ball game. Here in the 5th inning. There goes the strikeout. Kirkpatrick, who is 0 for 2, the batter. Runners at first and third, 2 down and running in the 5th. 6-6 ball game. The pitch. Inside, ball 1. Rabowski again ready. Shakes one off. Has another shake off. Another shake off. He could be decoying. Kirkpatrick waiting. And now steps out on Allen. And now Rabowski goes into the act again, into the deep freeze. Yankees batting against Lee in the bottom of the 8th. No score. Lee for Boston. Doc Medich for the New York Yankees. Baltimore has come from behind to beat Detroit 5-4 in the last of the night. Here's the 1-0. Now to swing and a foul back, 1-1. I'll tell you, that Baltimore is unbelievable. They were behind into the bottom of the 9th, and they scored either 2 or 3 runs to win it 5-4. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ed Kirkpatrick and Rabowski. 1-1 the count. Once again, Allen ready. The pitch. Curve foul back by Sankey, 1-2. It's opened up with a single off Osteen by Hebner. Oliver rammed the double to left center, driving Hebner all the way from first to score on a brilliant slide by Ritchie to get in there. Then Stargell drew an intentional walk, and Rabowski came on and got Parker into a force out with runners at first and third, saying he implied to shallow right. And now Kirkpatrick, a 1-ball, 2-strike count, awaiting the next pitch by Rabowski. Allen ready, and the 1-2 delivery. Struck him out. A curveball for a strikeout. And that'll retire the side. 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left. We go to the bottom of the 5th, tied up 6-6. Sent over a garbled report of the paid attendance. It's 41,000 plus. We'll have to get the actual figure later on. But it's 41,000 plus. Game is tied at 1-1. That's 6-6, should say. And we're going to see Simmons up to lead off the 5th against John Moreland. Simmons got on an error in the first inning, hit a double that bounced over the head of third on a bad hop. So, that evened that up because Parker got 1 for us. Moreland works to Simmons right through there for the call strike. So the game now belongs to Moreland and Rabowski. Osteen went 2 innings for 1 run. The run that tied the game. Breaking ball inside. Simmons got out of the way of it. 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Outfield playing Chad the pro. Here's the 1-1 pitch. There's a base hit in the right. Bennett diving for it. Couldn't quite get it. Hit it off end of the bat and got a little dribbler out into right field. Bennett went back. Couldn't quite get to it. Here's Torrey now. He bounced into a force play and he got a looping single in the third. Simmons hit a couple of funny base hits here tonight. He got on an error by Hebner, and the ball bounced over Hebner's head for a double play, and he hit on the pitch with that, and he just got it over and finished it. All right, Moreland working now to Joe Torrey here in the 5th inning. Torrey takes it on the inside corner, strike 1. How about that Baltimore coming behind to win the game over the Tigers 5-4. Boston now batting in the top of the ninth against George Medic. No score at Shea Stadium. There's a lob thrown at first, and Simmons is uneven moving.
Tigers are having a whale of a year, aren't they?
Yep. The pitch. Inside. They ruled that it hit him. Got him on the fifth. And Sanguian must have been hit also as it slammed off Torrey. And Tony Barterome has come out to double check him. So they're going to have 2 men on here now. And they're giving Sanguian some attention. Danny Murtaugh is going to walk out to check on him. But Tony says he's all right. Sanguian just got winded. So now the Cardinals have 2 men on, and they can bunt with this guy. And we're starting to get some action again. So Jimenez and Mitchell are listening, and McBride is in. He's 0 for 2. Bounced into a fourth in the third and came around to score a run. Now they got to play up at first and third, and we got a wild and they wouldn't go on here tonight. Moreland checks at second. We got the play on. He swings away instead and fouls to the left out of play. Philadelphia beat the Mets 6-2, and they're clobbering him in the second game 6-3. We go into play New York tomorrow. Pizarro and Kuzman, Royce and Matlack, Rooker and Sadecki, Brett and Severo McGraw. High fly Moreland, 1-1 to McBride. No indication of a bunt on either pitch. 6-6 ball game. Hyatt scored 5 in the first, Cardinals 6 in the third, Pirates 1 in the fifth. Cardinals led in their fifth. McBride takes it upstairs, 2-1. Brett started. Then Demery, he was the pitcher record. Now it's Moreland and Robusky. Ball 2, strike 1, 2 on, none out. Runner at second, Simmons. Runner at first, Torrey. Hit by pitch. Moreland again, ready, 2-1. McBride fouls on a check swing straight back. 2-2. Chicago at Texas rained out again. Two balls, 2 strikes. To Bake McBride. Johnny Moreland on the 2-2 delivery. Fouled away off the fastball. Now holding 2-2. Balls, 2 strikes. Again, we're ready. Curve bouncing into the dirt, wild pitch, and the runners advance. They haven't ruled yet, but it's got to be a wild pitch. Ball bounced into the dirt. So Simmons has gone to third. Torrey has gone to second. And McBride, a 3-ball, 2-strike count with the infield now pulled up. Nobody out, and the 3-2 pitch from Moreland. Foul away. Simmons led off with a bloop to right. Torrey got hit by a pitch. They didn't try to bunt. And now Moreland has wild pitched the runners up. And the count pulled to McBride 3-2 with the bases or the infield all the way up. Outfield straightaway. Moreland has his sign into the windup to McBride. Beats it slowly, foul off first. Yes, sir. We're sitting on a real Jim Dandy here tonight. Lots of action for the baseball fans that like this type of a game. 3, strike 2 pitch. Foul back by McBride. He's just lunging at it. Doesn't had a good swing yet. He's just trying to hold on and get a piece of it. His rear end's all over the place. He's slacking and every old thing. He's just getting a piece of it. Ball 3, strike 2. Simmons at third. Torrey at second. Popped up into shallow left. Stodgel running over. Tagging is Simmons. Stodgel's got the ball. Now fires for third base. And the play. Not in time. He just barely gets in. He just barely made it on a strong throw by Willie Stodgel from deep left field. And the Cardinals lead 7-6. Holding at second, Torrey. Stodgel threw so well and so low, there's no way Torrey could come over to third. Now Reach, who got a double inside of third in the third inning, driving in a run, standing in. 1 out, 7-6, the Cardinals here in the fifth inning. And he fouls back a fastball under the chin. No balls, 1 strike. Again, Moreland ready from the stretch. The pitch. Curve high inside. He hung it. Ball 1, strike 1. Foul back. Now we have Jimenez and Hernandez loosening for the Pirates. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runner out at second, Torrey. Cardinals leading 7-6. Fifth inning. 1 out. Batter Kenny Reach. Moreland on the 1-2. Curveball popped into left deep. Way deep. Too deep. Home run. Home run for Reach, and the Cardinals lead 9-6. Moreland threw a sloppy hanging curveball, and he hit it out of here. That'll bring up Tyson, who's due for 1 tick at Heidemann. Heidemann up for his first at bat, and he hits a fly ball to right field and Dave Parker. And there are 2 down. That'll bring up now Robowski. Standing ovation here. 41,345. Moreland over the plate with a called strike. Cincinnati beats Houston 4-1 to keep their slim hopes alive. Atlanta's in Los Angeles tonight. The magic number's 3. It'll go to 2 if Atlanta loses to the Dodgers. 1 ball, 1 strike. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Now the 1-2 delivery. Popped into shallow right, dropping back Rennie Stennett. Coming up Parker. Stennett grabs it and not drops it because Parker knocked him off the ball. Now let's see what they're going to rule here. It'll be a shame to have Stennett have his error streak broken with that ball being knocked out of his glove. They're going to charge Stennett with an error. His first error in all those chances, 388. Denies him a chance of setting a world record. And that ball was knocked out of his glove by the right fielder. Rockies 1 for 3. Scored a run back in the third inning. 9-6 to score. Swing by Brock, strike one.
First, Reedy, that's the first error that Livingston has committed since the first game of doubleheader on July 26th. He's gone 59 games without committing an error.
That's a terrible way to have a great streak ended. Down and low for the ball, 1-1. It's just a case with the crowd roaring that I'm sure Stennett didn't hear Parker and Parker didn't hear Stennett. And low is the pitch, 2-1 to Brock. Now Jimmy Minchell is up along with Ramon Hernandez. We're in the bottom of the fifth. The Cardinals leading here 9-6. Brock bounces down to second. Rennie Stennett has him, throws him out. So they get 1, 2, 3 runs on 1, 2 hits, 1 fired error, and 1 left. At the end of 5, they lead 9-6. Okay, into the 6th inning now, and Tavares scheduled to lead it off, and Moreland will be batted for. And then we'll either have Jimenez or Hernandez. Grabowski now on top of this ball game, 9-6 as we go to the top of the 6th. What a tough way to lose what was a remarkable feeling just by Stennett going out. I guess with the crowd roaring the way it was, they couldn't hear each other. Actually, Stennett finally got a glove on it in deep right, but which would be shallow right for Parker, who was playing maybe a little too deep. Well, let's see if we can't get this guy going here. Grabowski goes to Frank Tavares, who's 0 for 2. 1 strike. Yankees batting in the bottom of the 9th, no score with Boston. Baltimore came from behind the 9th inning to beat Detroit 5-4. Swing and miss on a breaking ball by Tavares, 1-2. Richie Dutch coming to the on-deck circle is going to bat for Moreland, who will be the losing pitcher unless we can change this around. Moreland's got a great fastball. Why he went with that slop curve to reach, I don't know. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Take it back as Kenny Mock on deck. Swing by Tavares, strikes out. So Kenny Maka will be coming up. He'll bat in place for Moreland. There's the losing pitcher as of now. Moreland went 2 innings for 3 runs.
Ken Maka batting for Moreland.
Gave up 3 hits, hit a batter. Didn't have any strikeouts. Didn't walk anybody. He had a wild pitch also that unglued him. Maka base hits to left off the Mad Hungarian. This guy's got a good stroke. Now the batter is going to be Rennie Stennett, who's 0 for 2. He walked and scored in the 1st inning. That's the first hit. Surrendered by Grabowski. He's psyching himself now. Torrey said something to him. That broke the chain. He's got to go back into the tank. Walk off first base. Roboski works, into the swing and a miss. Strike one. Outfield swung to right. Gaps in left center. Leaks a foul off third, and nothing at 2. Friday, Bob Gibson goes against Tom DeTore. Saturday, McLaughlin against Stoner Russell. Sunday, Curtis against Bonham when they play in Chicago. No balls, 2 strikes. Again, the Sycat. Now Stennis steps out on him, and they taking his time getting in. Stepping back in, no balls to now. He steps out on Stennis. Okay, Rennie, you stay there in a minute, and when he comes back in, you walk out. Now Roboski ready. Now Stennis steps out on him. And that's the way to do it to him, too. Just step out anytime you're ready on him. Mock at first base, 1 out. Roboski delivers. And it's outside, 1 and 2. Just flirted with that strike that time. There he goes, into the deep freeze. Now, Rennie, when he gets back there to pitch, step out again. That's it. There goes Rennie. One ball and 2 strikes. And Roboski taking a lot of time, now ready. Here's the pitch. And it's hit out into left center field, and it's going to drop there for a base hit. In fact, if we got a bug on the run, it'll be a Book Rule double. The ball bounced over the fence. A Book Rule double. Oh, get off the ground rule, you knuckleheads, you don't know the difference. You score that way, too. Sorry, I thought I was off the air. Well, there's one way of giving him. It's a book rule. It's applicable to every club in baseball. And the rule of the book says a ball, fair hit ball, bouncing over the fence, it's a book rule double. A ground rule applies only to the rules involved with the local club set. They have nothing to do with the book rule. Now, I'll tell you something. If that ball stays in there, I'm not so sure Maka's not going to be able to score.
He'd score easily.
But they might have held him up, but he scored easily, I think. But anyhow, here's Hebner now, 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored. Now let's go after this guy. Roboski. Hebner hit a 3-run homer off him in Pittsburgh. And hits a long, high fly to right, coming up Reggie Smith, tagging his knock at third. And Skinner says, hold. And the throw by Reggie Smith comes to the plate, and the run is hold. Didn't hit it as high as I thought he might have. Hit it up as far. He hit it too high in the air. Now the batter is going to be Al Oliver. Sacrifice fly, driving in a run. Bounced into a force out. Hit a double in the 5th to drive in a run. The way the Cardinals played the ball hit by Sennett with Brock and McBride going, I really believe they would have sent Maka in, and Oliver then could have easily maybe come on to, or Sennett might have come on to third. And we'd have had a run in to make it 9-7 with a runner at third. With only 1 out, with Oliver running instead of Maka. But that's the rule, the way the game goes. 2 down now to Al Oliver. Roboski to the windup delivers. He's on the corner with a call strike. Al steps in while the deep freeze act goes on. No balls and a strike. Roboski ready. Here's the 0-1. Strike call. I wonder what Roboski would do after that deep freeze act if when he came up to pitch, Oliver dropped the bat and just started walking right at him. Just going right at him. What do you think he'd do?
Well, I think he had to step out on him like Stennett did. And
sure.
He's trying to get his concentration together. Well, make him wait a little bit. Step out on him. That's what Stennett did.
0-2 to count. Runners at second and third. Grabowski now also taking time. Ready. Throws it outside a ball. 1-2. There goes the deep freeze again.
I tell you, there's the rule that they don't pull the clock on you with runners on base, which I think is absurd. If you can take only 20 seconds with nobody on base, you should have some restriction as to how much time you got when you have runners on base. I don't care whether it's a minute or 35 seconds or whatever it is. But I think that rule may come into effect next year.
Well, this will be the reason for it, and they'll call it the Grabowski rule forever.
That's
1 ball and 2 strikes to Oliver. Runners at second and third to pitch. Foul away, no play. Boston and New York scoreless in 9 innings. Baltimore came behind to beat Detroit 5-4. That's a big game for the Yankees at Shea. Doc Medic still pitching. I think Lee is still on for the Bo Sox. There's the strike action, a 1 ball, 2 strike count to Al Oliver. 9-6 the Cardinals here in the 6th inning. Pitch. And a space hit to left. It's going to score 2 runs. Oliver wrapped a mad Hungarian for a 2-run single. How's that grab you?
He didn't meditate long enough on that one.
Boy, he really rammed that one in the left. Oliver now has driven in 4 runs, 80 on the day, or the year. And that brings in Maka, brings in Stennett. And now it's a 9-8 game, and the batter's Willie Stargell, and I'd like to see chicken flying all over the hill.
Our bench was rather silent after that 6-run 3rd inning, and kind of debacle following that, the home run by Rates. But I'll tell you, this guy has awakened us a little bit with all this nonsense he goes through here. He can take so much of that stuff, and after a while it wears thin.
That's why I said drop the bat and walk right out at him. If you're built like Stargell or Oliver, his eyes would probably go in the back of his head. The pitch. Inside, and I'll tell you one thing. What did he say? A foul tip?
Yeah, Doug Harvey.
Well, he didn't
said
swing.
he was the best umpire in the league. I think the players did. But the retired players seem to think Eddie Varga is the best umpire in the league.
Well, he didn't swing. It must have tipped his bat. The 0-1. Swing and a miss that time. Strike 2. To 8 to score. Oliver at first base. Cardinals have the 9. Stargell fell down. What do they say? No, he didn't swing. Wendelstedt had said it was his body. His momentum trying to check that bat twisted his body around, and down he went. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now the Cardinals have somebody warming up again. That's that Sonny Siebert. Is it?
Mike Garman.
Mike Garman. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Oliver at first base. 2 out. Pitch to Stargell. Pop fly, foul, left line, no play. This game is far from over, my friends. Maka, man, that kid's been coming like the wind. He's got a sweet stroke, and he popped a single to left. Stennett then hit a book rule double that I think might have scored Maka the way it was played by both Brock and McBride, neither one with any great arm. But it went over the wall, thus we were frozen. And then Oliver rammed him in anyhow with a single to left. He's driven in 4 of our 8 runs. Stargell, a 1 ball, 2 strike count, holding on Oliver. Torrey at first. Grabowski ready in the 1-2 pitch. High, ball 2, 2-2. Throw to first, Oliver back.
You talk about consistent performance. Now Oliver seems to come up with it, doesn't he?
Sure does. He came to play the game. Ball 2, strike 2. The deep freeze act is over. Grabowski astride the mound. Here's the look now and the 2-2 delivery. Curveball hit high to the air out into left field, and Brock has a play on it. And that'll retire the side. But we're starting to get to this guy, Grabowski. And I'll guarantee you one thing. He'd better have to bear down a little harder than this if he's going to go 9 against the troops. He's got them mad. 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors. A man left into the bottom of the 6th. 9-8 Cardinals. All right, Ramon Hernandez is coming on now to try to hold them in check. He's 4-2 on the year. Johnny Malden went 2 innings for 3 runs on 3 hits, a hit batsman and a wild pitch, and is a pitcher of record. And that pitch he threw to Reach, he'd been blowing it right by him with a fastball and hung a slow curve up in his eyes, and he hit it a mile. So Hernandez will go to Sizemore, Smith, and Simmons. Sizemore has 2 hits in 3 at-bats. Bunted for a base hit in the 4th inning. Hernandez delivers. He's over the plate for a strike. They're straight away in the outfield of Sizemore. Fly ball out into center. Al Oliver. 1 out. Cardinals lead 9-8.
A game like this, I'm looking at the scoreboard. If you're in the left field or right field bullpen, you just got to figure sometime tonight you're going to be up and going, and you may make an appearance.
You might at that. Smith is 2 for 3. He struck out in the 4th inning and went into a double play. It's a fly foul down the line. The only strikeout we had all night. Philadelphia's attendance tonight 16,000. They drew 1,000,008 in Philadelphia club record. They beat the Mets a double dipper. They are. 2-ball low, 1-1. They beat the Mets 6-2, leading 6-3 into 7.5. Beat Seaver in the first game. Season total here is 1,831,313. Here's the 1-1. Inside to Reggie, ball 2, 2-1. $41,345. Game delayed several minutes to let the fans get in. Reggie takes it high, 3-1 from Hernandez. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. 3-2. All right, the 3-2 to Reggie. Pops up. And I don't know if it's playable. It's off on the first base side. Let's see. It's going to be Sanguin grabbing the ball, going into the dugout and holding on to it for an out. Great play by Sanguin going into the dugout.
It's a great play for a catcher with a glove like that. Kirkpatrick might have had a play, but Sanguin called him off and went right into the dugout for it. First baseman's glove, you're able to hold that ball a little bit better.
Now Simmons, the batter, got on an error. Hit a ball that bounced over Hebner's head for a double. One inning Richie could do about it in the 3rd. Got a bloop single in the 5th. That 5th inning is, well, everybody's innings. We've all had some funny ones going here tonight. We scored 5 in the 1st. They came back with 6 in the 3rd. We tied in the 5th. They came back with 3 in the 5th. We got 2 in the 6th. So it's 9-8. With 2 down to Simmons. Strike.
Hernandez throwing the ball better tonight, Bob, than he did the last. He has a much better fastball.
Well, I hope he keeps it up. We got to get after that mad Hungarian somehow or other and get up in front here. Here's the 0-1. And there's a Scrooge. Hit out toward left. It'll hang for Stargell, and he's got it.
Best ball he's hit tonight.
3 up and 3 down at the end of 6 innings. It's 9-8 in favor of the Cardinals.
Pirate Baseball has been brought to you by Iron City Beer. Well, we've got a whale of a ball game here in Busch Stadium. 9-8 is the score. The Cardinals are out in front. We go into the final 3 innings, and this thing is still very much up for grabs. I think both ball clubs thought they had the thing won a couple of times. The Pirates certainly in the 1st inning with a 5-0 lead. Kenny Breck was shelled in the 3rd inning. He departed. Larry Demery came on. You give up the go-ahead run, 6-5. The Cardinals led. Then the Pirates started in the 5th inning, but the Cardinals came right back against John Moreland with a base hit, a hit batsman, a wild pitch, sacrifice fly, and a home run by Kenny Reese to lead it, 9-6. But the Pirates came right back in the 6th inning, and it's now a 1-run ball game, 9-8. Parker, Sanguin, and Kirkpatrick will bat in the 7th inning. This game is similar to the one we had in Pittsburgh in a great 8-6 win that the Pirates had. Pirates won the first 2 ball games here, and trying for a sweep and to stay in the first place in the Eastern Division. Parker 1 for 3. Takes the fastball, and there's strike 1. Mystery why Roboski has to take 45 seconds with men on base and with nobody on base. Doesn't have any problem getting this head together. The 0-1 pitch. Yamming pitch hit weakly off third. It's a foul ball. And the count of 0-2. Parker drove in a run in the first inning. With a high-hopping ball, we get a big break on that one, bouncing over the head of Joe Torre. And the Cardinals came back with a share of theirs in that wild third inning off Kenny Brett. Dave Duffy starts to loosen in the Pirates bullpen. This game is worth 2 in the standing for whoever wins it. The Pirates can go a game and a half in front, or they can go a half game behind the Cardinals. That's the difference between a win and a loss. Pirates have 7 more games left. The Cardinals 6 after tonight. And what a way to finish. The 0-2 pitch by Roboski in the dirt, checked off by Parker, the count of 1-2. Unusual for Kenny Brett to leave as quickly as he did. You get 5 or 6 out of him, and you get a different game. A 1-2 pitch. Curveball hangs inside, the count of 2-2. Red Shadings called on Roboski in the 5th inning, which is rather early for this guy. But this game means that much to him. Parker stepping out on Roboski. Time call. He's back in. The count of 2-2. Roboski wants another side from Simmons. Gets the one he wants. The windup and the pitch underway. And he struck him out. 4th strikeout. The 3rd by Roboski. So Steve struck out the other batter, Gene Klein's pinch hitting in the 4th inning. Sank in with a 3-run homer in the 1st inning. Walked in the 3rd. Missed an opportunity for a big RBI in the 1st inning. Then he flied to very shallow right field with only 1 out. And Oliver at third base. Playing Manny to hit the ball to right field. 9-8 lead. The Cardinals out in front in the top of the 7th inning. A pitch by Roboski. Fly ball to right field. Reggie Smith coming on. That'll retire Sanguin. Foul ball catch, 2 down. That's Kirkpatrick. Will step in for the 4th time. He's gone 0 for 4, 0 for 3 tonight. Roboski struck him out looking in the 5th inning. And the pitch by Roboski to Kirkpatrick. Foul, back out of play. Strike 1. Manny Murtaugh came into here hoping he could win 2 out of 3. We had to win 2 out of 3 to get back into the race, he said. Well, we won the first 2. And leading 5-0, you got to figure you're thinking of a sweep. And right now, the game 9-8, the Cardinals leading. It's still right there. But Roboski back with a strike towards the count of 0-2 on Kirkpatrick. Kenny Brett, when he left, he argued long and loud with Osborne and had some comments to make as he left the ballpark in the dugout. He was angry. But he was wrapped for 6 hits. And 6 runs. I think it was 5 runs. The other run was given up by Demery. Pitch inside on Kirkpatrick. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Roboski's 1-2 pitch. He is inside, taking strike 3. Kirkpatrick didn't like that call at all. And Doug Harvey, for the 2nd time, has called him out, and Kirkpatrick didn't like it at all. Dropped his batting helmet and bat right at his feet. And you get some difference of opinion on what you think of umpires in this league, and the Pirates certainly do. We're out of order in the 7th inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th, and the Cardinals lead 9-8. Now, before we go to the bottom of the 7th, with Joe Torre stepping in, let's pause 10 seconds on the Pirates Baseball Network.
All the good sports are on Pirates. 83 Pittsburgh.
Joe Torre with a single in the 3rd, hit by a pitch in the 5th inning. Scored both times. He's 1 for 2. Hernandez with the pitch. It is up high, ball one. New York Yankees won 1-0 behind George Metis in the 10th inning. Now they stay right even where they were at the start of the night with Baltimore a half game back. The Orioles came from behind in the 9th inning to knock off Detroit again. That's the second consecutive game the Tigers have won in late innings down in Baltimore, which can't make them too much of a favorite in New York right now. The 1-0 pitch. Ground ball, right side. Stennett dives. He's got it. Picks it up. Throws. He's got him at first base. What a whale of a play by Rennie Stennett. Listen to the crowd. St. Louis Cardinal fans know a good play when they see it, and they saw one there. Stennett had to go way to his left, go for the ball, came up with it, and two. Terry out at first base. Then he made an error, and it was a kind of a questionable one. And then the ball hit by Rabowski in the shallow right field. Packer playing him rather deep for a pitcher, and then he went a long way to get it. Almost had a collision out there. He had the ball and then dropped it. And that's the first area and too much. McBride bunts. It's off the third base side. Hernandez picks up, throws. You better hurry. Got him. Well, you think McBride can't fly? Man, he can move. Batting from the left side. He's got that added step, and when he is bunting, he's halfway out of the batter's box already. And the ball, fortunately for Hernandez, was just to the right of the mound. He was trotting that way, came up with it, and just got him at first base. Well, Hernandez has been the most successful pitcher for the Pirates tonight. Brett was roughed up in the 3rd inning, Moreland in the 5th, and that's been it for the Pirates. Moreland on the hook for the loss. The Cardinals lead 9-8. Kenny Reese, the batter, takes a pitch down low, ball one. He doubled off Demery in the 3rd to drive in 2, homered in the 5th off Moreland to drive in 3. So he's had 5 of the 9 RBIs. Hernandez with a 1-0 delivery, and it is foul just beneath our booth. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pirates 8th inning. We're at the bottom of the lineup with Tavares and probably a pinch hitter there, and then a pinch hitter for the pitcher. You know, we've got to make our run in the next 2 innings here. That's all we've got left to stay in first place and go a game and a half ahead and get a sweep on the Cardinals in this very important series. We have won the first 2. That win by George Metis, by the way, was his 19th win over Baltimore. Reed sits weekly back to the mound, and Hernandez puts them down 1-2-3. Hernandez has retired 6 in a row in the 6th and 7th inning, getting some pitching back into the game for the Bucks. And we go to the 8th inning. The Cardinals lead by 1 run, 9-8. Baseball Now will be brought to you by Joy, nature's high-protein food for dogs. Higher in protein, and it still costs less than most other brands. Now, a whale of a ball game. If you like action, a lot of runs, you're hearing about it tonight, and the 41,000 plus on hand are seeing it here tonight in a great ball game between the 2 contending ball clubs in the East. And to get the Bucks back into things, here's the gunner, Bob Prince.
Well, Bobby Robertson standing in, batting at .230. And Bobby has 15 homers, 45 runs batted in. He'll bat for Frank Tavares. And then Richie Zisk is on deck. He'll be batting in place of the pitcher, Moni Hernandez, who did a great job tonight. So it's 6 outs away for the Cardinals in first place. But those 6 outs don't always get there that easily. Grabowski's delivery, a swing and a foul by Bobby. Strike 1. Mario Mendoza loosening down the left line along with Dave Justy. Zisk in the on-deck circle, as we told you. He'll be batting in place of Hernandez. Grabowski, the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. No balls, 2 strikes. And the 0-2 is outside. Fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Out in Los Angeles, the Dodgers lead 1-0 at the end in the bottom of the 2nd over Atlanta. Cincinnati beat Houston 4-1. The Dodgers win. The number will go to 2. Bobby swings and misses. Strikeout number 6. Now the batter is going to be Richie Zisk coming up to try.
Zisk will bat for Hernandez. Zisk.
He'll bat for Ramon Hernandez. Pirates knocked 4 shot of the box in 1/3 of an inning with 5 runs. They ended up getting tally off both steam. And then 2 more off Roboski. Their lead run now for the Cardinals represents the ball hit by Reach, the home run. 9-8. 1 out, none on to Ritchie. Outfield straight out to him deep. Roboski to the windup, delivers. Ritchie takes it outside, ball 1. 5 for the Pirates in the first inning, 6 for the Cards in the third. Pirates tied in the 5th. Cardinals went ahead 9-6. Pirates came back with 2 in the 6th. It's 9-8. We're in the 8th inning. Ziska swing and the count of 1-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 pitch underneath Finney's, ball 2, 2-1. Two balls and a strike. 1 out, none on, 8th inning. Rennie Stennett on deck. Here's the 2-1. Ziff takes a cut, 2-2. Cardinal broadcasters were somewhat exercised over the ruling of an official scoring, ruling Stennett, the on-deck batter, with an error. On the ball, they went back into right field to have the ball knocked out of his glove, stopping what could have been a new shot at a world record, fielding-wise. 2-2 pitch. Check swing. Didn't want to hit it. Bounces to second baseman. Sizemore throws him out. Here's Rennie Stennett. He walked and scored. He flied to center. He flied to right. He doubled off Roboski to start the rally that led to 2 well to help it going because Maka, as a pinch batter, singled. And with 1 out, then Stennett got a book rule double. And then Oliver hung tough and drove in the runs with a base hit to left. Now the outfield around to the right, they're shifting kind of peculiarly in the infield to Stennett. Swings and he fouls back, strike 1. Roboski had been sacking in the first part, and Stennett kept stepping out on him. This time he's staying right out there on the mound. 2 down in the 8th. 9-8 Cardinals. And he bounces right to the middle and knocks him up there for a base hit. Now, you don't think Hebner could hit one out of here on this Hungarian, do you? He calls himself the Mad Hungarian, so I don't want to get into an ethnic argument with anybody. I'm telling you what he calls himself.
Rennie Stennett's starting to take on the aspects of the late Roberto Clemente. When you give him a challenge, he seems to thrive on that thing. And
he's ready, does.
I'm serious.
Now Hebner, 2 for 4. He scored a pair of runs. Hit a 3-run homer off Roboski in Pittsburgh. Hit a 2-runner off him here, Rich, old buddy. 2 down, runner at first, Stennett. Roboski ready. Delivery. Pop foul, no play. That's 4 hits now and 2 runs off Roboski. But he has picked up 1, 2, 3, 4 strikeouts. One thing he hasn't done is walk anybody. No balls and a strike. Again, ready to pitch. Hebner rhymes to right for a base hit. Stennett will go around second. He's on his way to third. We have runners at first and third on Roboski and Al Oliver, who battled him to a fare-thee-well standing in. He singled with 2 out to drive in 2 runs in the 6th inning. Oliver's knocked in 4 on the night. Now, first and third occupied. 9-8 the Cardinals, and Scoops Oliver standing in. And Roboski goes into the deep freeze. That's 5 hits and 2 runs off Roboski. We need a couple of more. Mike Garman is up now. Richie Zesk is going down the warm-up. Looks like he'll remain in the game. Roboski ready. Here's the pitch. Oliver a swinging a foul back, strike 1. He took a real whip on that one. Dave Justy loosening. Richie Zisk is loosening. He'll remain in the game, batting in the 9th spot. Hopefully get a shot at with him again in the 9th inning. Roboski back into the deep freeze, pounds the mitt, and comes to the mound. Last time he did it, Oliver knocked in 2 runs with a base hit to left field. We have runners at first and third. 2 down, 9-8 Cardinals here in the 8th inning. Roboski on the 0-1 to Oliver. Swinging a foul tip, and he took a rip, strike 2. Well, Roboski had him with 2 strikes the last time.
The same Cal Folkers had Willie last night. The game suddenly broke open on it. Did they ever hang a curve, do you think?
First and third occupied, yeah. Roboski's out of the deep freeze and ready to pitch. Outfield straight away. From the stretch, he delivers. And Oliver hits a high chopper up to shortstop. Heidemann, you step on second. That'll retire the side. No runs and 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left. And we go to the bottom of the 8th, 9-8 Cardinals. Within the right field, Parker moves over to center, and Oliver is out. Oliver wouldn't get another chance to bat now unless we tied up and go into extra innings, and Danny Murtaugh can't wait for that. What a night Al Oliver's had. Mendoza, of course, has gone to short with Justy now pitching. Justy will go to Heidemann and Roboski and Brock. Zisk remaining in the game, batting in the number 9 spot, is our right fielder. Oliver undoubtedly Justy's batting in the number 3 spot where Oliver was, so he's 8 outs away. Parker's just moved over to center. And Mendoza is batting in the 8th spot.
Moves from right field to center field. Number 22, Zisk. Plays right field. That's 9. Number 11, Mendoza.
Now, in our 9th inning, we'll have Stargell, Parker, and Sanguin, the 3 batters, but we've got to stop them here in the 8th and go from there. This has been some wild and woolly ball game, and it's not over yet. Now Jack Heidemann. He intentionally walked Stargell. And then Parker doubled and Sanguin homered. We had a 5-0 lead. They came back with a nightmarish third when they got a bouncing couple of balls like we did, and an infield single and a bad hop and an error and what have you. And the next thing you know, they had 6 runs. They've got 9 on the night. We have 8. Batter is Heidemann, the right-hand batter. Justy sent it in. He wanted a bunt, took it high, ball 1. This is the 3rd batter that Schoendienst has employed in the 8th spot. Tyson got a base hit in the 2nd. He batted for him with Cruz in the 3rd and got a run out of him. Very fortunately, because of the ball bouncing off our first baseman's glove for a base hit. Base hit to left by Heidemann. Up. They'll be looking for a bunt here. And he bunts it right up to Kirkpatrick. He has only the 1 play on the first. Roboski's out. And Heidemann's moved to second. The batter will be Brock, 1 for 4. Infield single, scored a run. They're not booing. They're saying, Lou, Lou. Run out there at second if they can score them. 9-8 Cardinals here in the bottom half of the 8th, 1 out. 9 runs and 13 hits for the Cardinals, 8-11 and 2 errors for the Pirates. The errors have not figured in the scoring of the ball game. They're going to put Brock aboard. This will be the first walk to the Cardinals tonight. So they're walking Brock to get to Sizemore, who's 2 for 4. Elsewhere, while they're doing all this, Baltimore teams behind to defeat Detroit. Looked like they had that game popped, but they scored in the ninth to win it by 4. Scored a couple of runs. Meanwhile, in 10 innings, Doc Medic won his 19th, beating Boston 1-0. They hang right in there. And Cincinnati, Doc, of course, out of Pittsburgh. Cincinnati beat Houston 4-1 to hope to keep their hopes alive. But the Dodgers are leading Atlanta 1-0, and the Dodgers second. And if the Dodgers win it, the magic number will go to 2. Now, Sizemore, 2 for 4 the batter with runners at first and second. He scored a run back in a wild third when they got 6 telly. Ball inside from David, ball 1. Brett started and went 2 1/3 innings. Then Demery. And at one time, Demery was to be the losing pitcher. We bailed him out, then Mullen came in, and he flipped 3 runs up over there. Just had a terrible outing for John in that 5th inning, and we're hanging by the hook right there. The pitch he made to reach was the one that killed us. 1-0. Outside, ball 2. Now we're listening to Jimenez again. Another thing that'll be tough, the Pirates won't get into New York tonight much before 4 o'clock in the morning. You don't have a chance to get in before that. 2-0. Ice strike. Now, 20 minutes after 11, New York time. And they got to play the Mets tomorrow night. The Cardinals have the off day. 2 balls and a strike. 2 on, 1 out. We'll look back to second and the pitch. Grounded down to shortstop Mendoza. Flips to center on the first double play. So we bring it all up to the 9th inning. No runs and 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. And we go to the 9th inning. Cardinals leading 9-8. Bachelor Clement, your host here now. We have immediate delivery on America's #1 selling compact. Well, here in the 9th, Stargell, Parker, and Sanguin. Stargell's been walked twice intentionally. Grounded to second and fly to left. Parker has a double and a run batted in and scored a run in 4 at-bats, and Sanguin a home run with 2 on in 3 at-bats. That's the lineup going against Robosky. We've scored on Robosky 2 runs and had 5 hits. And he got a great break in the 6th inning when he got a book rule double, freezing our runner. And Oliver then hung tough to knock in a pair. They're going to play on the infield shift on Stargell. They get the third baseman, Reach guarding the line. Everything off the left side of the diamond is wide open. Stargell trying to go to left field, too. Strike 1. No balls and a strike. Robosky into the wind-up the pitch. He strikes 2. And Sizemore, Torrey, all on the first base side of second. Reach is right on the line, deep at third. Everything on the left side is wide open. Robosky 0-2 to Willie Stargell. Here's the pitch. Outside, breaking ball, 1-2. On deck, the Cobra. Parker to be followed by Sanguin. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitch. Stargell fouls back. Dodgers now lead Atlanta 2-0 at the end of 2.5 innings of play. The number is going down the drain quickly. In the National League East, it'll go right to the wire, and you better be getting your tickets for the Cubs series. Because I think that's about when it'll be happening. Right now, the fans are applauding Mr. Robosky's deep freeze act. Here he comes. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Stargell awaiting in the 1-2 delivery. High, 2-2. Mike Garman loosening in the event. Two balls and 2 strikes. Willie the Stargell awaiting. Robosky now to the windup in the 2-2 pitch. High, ball 3, 3-2. You better go back into the deep freeze for a while. One thing I'll say about Allen, he really tantalizes you. There's the act. Three and 2 to count. He's in the stare shot. Back to Willie Stargell. Willie patiently standing by, awaiting his arrival. You know, if you wait long enough, he gets one. Now time calls. Simmons calls time. They could go on that 22nd right there, and that'd have been ball 4 to Stargell.
Should have been.
I think it should have been, too. But Stargell.
Should have been.
Stargell, and I mean, just as Stargell was in the batter's box ready to go, and Simmons called time to go out and talk to break that 22nd, Millie.
He sure did. That was what saved him. I don't know anybody's going to pull it, though. Art Williams, I don't think he's supposed to be timing, I believe, the second base umpire.
Well, he's got his stopwatch there now. It starts once the batter's in there, but Stargell's never left the box. Here's the 3-2. I'll tell you right now, that time starts when the catch pitcher gets the ball back. And if the batter's in the batter's box, he doesn't interrupt it. And I'll guarantee he took more than 20 seconds on a 3-2 count to Stargell standing in there. They call it, it's ball 4.
You're right.
He's on base. And I'll guarantee, I'm not kidding you, Ben, we had a stopwatch on him. He was over 20. Parker, the batter, swinging a foul off the left side.
I've only seen that called once, and that was called against Rooker the day after Robosky took all that time, and I've never quite understood.
I had over 24 seconds with him standing out there with the ball with Stargell in the box on a ball 3.
You got to give Simmons credit in case they were thinking of calling. He took their mind off it anyway.
No balls and a strike. Here comes the pitch. Inside corner, strike 2.
So he's giving him everything on the inside corner. He called Kirkpatrick out on that pitch, and he got Parker, too. I can't blame Dave for arguing on that. His fastball runs in.
He's turned his back away from Doug, and Doug's taking his mask off. Come on now, Doug. You let him get away with murder out there on that last one to Stargell. 0-2 to count. Ball outside, 1-2. We got these same umpires in New York. One and 2. I'm not saying they're not good umpires, but we got them there. Here's Robosky ready to go, and I guess he's ready to go. Not yet. Now the 1-2. Ooh, he hit the daylights out of Parker, and he's going to first base. And Robosky's going to argue now that the ball hit the bat, and if he says something to Parker, he's going to get in trouble. Barterome is keeping Parker from him, and Robosky came in there. Parker started to look like he was going to say something to Robosky, and Barterome stepped in between him and kept him on down to first base. Murtaugh came right out to be sure he's all right, too. And Danny's a little exercised. He's saying something down here he's not at all happy about. And I think he's upset about the 3-2 pitch to Stargell, which had to be longer than 20 seconds, which should have been ball 4.
I think the thing he was mad about is the pitch he called on Parker, the strike that was inside, and it was off the plate, and he probably said that's why he hung in there so long.
Now Sanguin about it. Well, these things, we opened the season here, folks, with 4 outs and only got 2 of them. I'll never get over that play as long as I live. These umpires weren't in that one.
The game looks kind of big now, that first game of the season.
I've never seen us win a decision against them in 3 years. I'm not saying the umpires are wrong, but I guarantee it's amazing how many times we've had arguments on types of plays, and the Cardinals always seem to be getting it. Sangy fouls back.
Now, Charlie.
No balls, 1 strike. Well, it's my stopwatch again, ours against that guy out there at second base, and I'm going to tell you, on the 3-2 count to Stargell, it went over 20 seconds. And then as it went over the 20, Simmons calls time, and they don't call the thing out there. Now he's hit Parker, and we got a man on. Sangy awaiting the pitch, the 0-1. Get up right on the outside corner, and Sangy can't believe it. Boy, that pitch to the outside, which to the left right-hand batter, inside on the right-hand batter, has been called a strike all night long. 0-2 to count. Ball, Simmons sat way out there that time to get it. One ball, 2 strikes. Pitch to Sanguin. Hit a chopper up the middle. Takes a bad hop. Gets away. Parker goes to second. On his way to third. We got runners at first and third. With 1 out, the ball gets away. Parker will try to score. They missed the ball. Sanguin's at second. Grabowski fell in his derriere. More than an error, 8-2. Sanguin hit a bleeder up the middle. Parker went to third. The throw from center field to McBride, who drove an error. Grabowski looked like a hen hatching an egg on it, or a monkey trying to roll a pumpkin up Broadway. I can't explain it the way the late Don Hoke did, but I'll tell you one thing: Parker scores, and Sanguin goes into second. And they're going to send Barterome out now and double-check. Sangy could have turned his ankle when he went around second and tried to crab his way back into second. I don't think he wants out of this game.
You know, the funny part of that play, Bob, was Big McBride taking a shot at third base. There wasn't a play there, to be honest with you, because Parker was in there, and for some reason he came over there, and the ball hit him. And Bosky backing up the play, had a play at the plate, but you're right. He was like a kid looking for the Easter egg, and he couldn't quite pick it up. He dropped it twice, and he missed the opportunity. Well, we're back.
Now, what I like very much right here to see somebody nail one. We got a man at second base with only 1 out, a 9-9 ball game. I'm still mad that they didn't call ball 4 on Stargell, or we'd have had 2 runs.
You're right on that call. I agree with you.
Right.
Now, Teddy Simmons, you got to give him credit for calling time. If he thought that was going to happen, it was the time to do it on a 3-ball count.
Well, we had him clocked for more than 20 seconds, Nellie, and now Teddy was a legal clock. All right, 1 out, Kirkpatrick. Come on, Spanky. Grabowski checks his runner. The pitch. Slam foul out of play. Just go to the opposite field on him. Hit a ding-a-linger over third. Mario Mendoza. 0-1 the count. Score tied 9-9. Sanguin at second base. Cardinals now are looking, their bullpen split working. They're watching this one. The pitch. Inside corner. This time he called it a ball. Well, I'm going down and get first base treatment, Nellie. It's just all over my foot, but it's all right. Anything to win, partner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Robowski ready to Kirkpatrick. The pitch. Curveball hit on the chop to third base. Reach has only the one play to first. Gets him as Sanguin comes to third. Now, Mario Mendoza's not going to bat. It's going to be Paul Popovich. Going to be up there batting right-handed. Has he got one more bloop in his bat? Come on, Poppy. Anyhow, folks, it's a brand new game. It's a brand new game. Now the game belongs to Robowski and Justy. This thing moved off of Porsche to Osteen, off Osteen to Robowski, and off Brett to Demery, from Demery to Moreland, now to Justy. That's moving them around, isn't it?
This could be a classic baseball game in the way it's going. It's something that certainly has to be written about for a long time, and certainly the importance of it is apparent to everybody.
Well, I'm going to talk to all the writers I can get my hands on about the 3-2 count with Robowski pitching over 20 seconds to Stargill standing in the box waiting to bat. With nobody on base, you have 20 seconds once you get that ball, and he went past that, and then just as it looked like maybe they might call time on him, Simmons called time and got away with it. And then Parker was hit by a pitch, and then Sangi got the base hit. Swing and a miss by Paul, strike one. Sangi's base hit, went into center field. McBride tried to throw out Parker at third, hit him in the back. And Robowski hatched an egg over there trying to pick the ball up, and Parker scored. Sanguin went to second on the error. 0-1 to Paul Popovich, the pitch. Swinging a foul back, and he took a good swing there. Poppy took a good swing there. Get another flare. Break your bat in 80,000 pieces and let it die in center. We'll call time, wipe the blood off it. Come on, Poppy, old buddy. 0-2 to count. What a ball game we got here. Sanguin at third with two down. Robowski has been bruised here tonight. Simmons sets to the outside of the plate, and they throw it out there. You can't be too careful, though. They might move that catcher out there and then throw back inside. Well, 1 ball, 2 strikes was what they had on Paul last night when he hit a little flare to the left. Robowski took a short, deep freeze act. And starts his motion. I guess, not yet. Simmons sets outside again. Here comes the 1-2. Took him out. And the ball popped in and out of the middle of Simmons, but he caught it again. So it's tied up, though. 1 run unearned on 1 hit and 1 error. And we leave 1, go to the bottom of the ninth, tied up 9-9. Well, we reached this stage of the game now where we got to get 6 outs. We did it the first time in here and beat them 1-0. And right up here in a while, and they went 9-9. It's David Justy for the Marbles now. He'll go to Reggie Smith, Ted Simmons, and Joe Torre. And they'll have the advantage in this regard that Smith and Simmons are better left-hand hitters than they are right-hand hitters, and they'll be up there batting left-handed. So Paul Popovich is our shortstop now. We have Stargill in left, Parker in center, Zisk in right, Ebner at third, Popovich at short, Stennett at second, and Kirkpatrick at first, with Justy, our 5th pitcher, working. David came in the 8th inning and got him out of there.
Well, these last 6 games of these guys have been thrilling baseball games, haven't they? It's 8-6 ball game in Pittsburgh, and just like this.
Reggie Smith with 2 hits and a run batted in and a run scored and 4 at bat. 41,345, and Justy gets the sign of a left-hand batter into the windup and the pitch. Snack for a base hit on a high delivery down the right field line. Vince comes up with it, fires it on in, and they got a leadoff single. That's going to bring up Simmons. Simmons got on in an error, got a double that bounced over Hefner's head to drive in a run, 2 runs. Got a broken bat single in the 5th and scored a run and lined out the best ball he hit all night to deep left field. Now they're setting up the inner defenses as they look for the bunt play here. Short tied 9-9 in the bottom of the ninth, but Reggie Smith leads it off with a base hit to right. Justy checks his runner. Charging Kirkpatrick, swing by Simmons, foul back, strike one. Atlanta batting in the fourth inning. Dodgers lead there 2-0. If they win, the magic number goes to 2. Cincinnati beat Houston 4-1, but they're running out of numbers. The Yankees behind pitch. Doc Medich beat the Red Sox 1-0 in 10 innings. Baltimore came behind to beat Detroit 5-4. The bunt is pulled down to first base. Kirkpatrick throws to Stennett. Simmons is out on the sacrifice. Smith has moved to second. Moving up Joe Torre, who has 1 hit in 3 at-bats, hit by a pitch. The inning in the 5th is the one that really killed it. When they got a single, a hit batsman, a wild pitch, sacrifice fly, and a home run off Moreland. That's what really killed it. Those 3 runs right there. John had reached, struck out practically. 2 fastballs, then he threw him a hanging curve. And he hit a 2-run homer. But it's a brand new game with the Cardinals now with a winning run at second. And Smith and the batter Torre. And we'll pitch to him. He got it. Justy checks, delivers. Torre takes up and in, ball 1. Big McBride, the on-deck batter. Joe Torre bounced into a force out, looped a single to right to drive in a run, hit by a pitch and scored and bounced to second. Delivered by Justy. Oh, David can't believe that was called ball 2. He turns his back on Harvey. And Sanguillen is upset, and Justy just can't believe it. 2 balls and no strikes. Down the middle, popped up. Sanguillen has a play. Coming back, throws away the mask, stays with it. 2 out. Holding at second, Reggie Smith. Now Big McBride, who's 0 for 3. Scored a run, drove in a run, and a sacrifice fly standing in. Smith at second base. Game tied 9-9 in the bottom of the 9th. They're going to walk McBride. That intentional pass to go to reach is long and out with a double and a homer, but we're going to take the shot at the percentages. Up to a real tough batter against us. He's hitting better than 400 against us. McBride was only hitting 230. But you got to go for that percentage. So Reach with a double and a homer. And 1, 2, 3, 4 runs driven in. They're standing in here now against Dave Justy with 2 on, 2 out in the bottom of the 9th. Game tied 9-9. Justy checks his runner at second, comes to the plate. Hops him up into left field. Stodgel going over along with Parker. It is Stodgel saying, "Get out of there, David. I got it." And that'll retire the side. No runs, a hit, no errors, 2 left. End of 9. It's 9-9.
Your hosts have been your Pirate Land Chrysler Plymouth dealer. Well, we're going overtime again, and it seems like every time we play these guys, we've gone overtime. This is about our 6th extra inning ball game against the Cardinals this year. And what a whale of a ball game. Some 41,000 fans are seeing here tonight. Some of them didn't get in here for the first inning when the Pirates scored 5 runs. The game was delayed for 10 minutes to allow them to get in here, but they were still filing in. And the Pirates chased starter Bob Forrest with he only retired 1 batter. Sanguillen hit a 3-run homer off him to cap a 5-run inning. But the Cardinals came right back and chased starter Kenny Brent with a total of 7 hits, 6 of them in that, 5 of those hits off Brett in the 3rd inning. Brock, Sizemore, Smith, and Simmons and Torrey consecutively came up with base hits. Demery came on and gave up the tying run and the go-ahead run and the Cardinals led 6-5. The Pirates scored an unearned run in the ninth inning, descended into overtime. It's tied 9-9. This, the lead-off batter in the 10th inning, he pinch hit in the 8th inning and bounced out to second base. Second time he'll be facing Roboski. And grounds to second baseman Sizemore. One down, and that'll bring up Ronnie Stennett. Stennett's been the key in this ball game for the Pirates offensively. He's had another good night. Had 3 hits last night. And against Roboski, he's gone 2 for 2. A double and scored in the 6th inning, a single in the 8th inning. He walked in the Pirates' first inning to score. On the night, he has gone 2 for 4 and has scored 2 of the 9 runs. We're tied 9-9. One down in the top of the 10th inning. Then he swings and misses. Strike one. A curveball. The 0-1 pitch by the left-hander, swinging at a miss, strike 2. This is Roboski's longest relief appearance of the year, 5 innings. Pirates have nailed him for 3 runs since he's been in there. And what a comeback by the Cardinals, and then another comeback by the Bucks, who were down 9-6 at one time. The 0-2 pitch, swing and a foul pitch. No, he didn't hit it at all, didn't foul it. It was dropped by Simmons, and he tagged him. Now, Roboski didn't get any fastballs at all on Stennett that time. Breaking ball strikes him out very quickly. 2 down, nobody on. That's the 9th strikeout, and the 8th by Roboski. Hebner, the batter, has had 3 hits and 5 at bats. They shift against Ritchie with Heidemann, the shortstop, playing almost behind the bag at second base. Fly ball, center field. Dick McBride will make the play, and the Pirates get down without any noise in the 10th inning. Now we'll go to the bottom of the 10th. We're tied 9-9. These two ball clubs, just a half game separating them. The Pirates and the Cardinals have put on a whale of a show here tonight for 41,000 plus, and I guess thousands or maybe a million more listening to the broadcast on KDKA and the Pirate Network, and also KMOX here in the Midwest. That's the only game in town right now, except for the ball games out on the West Coast. Minnesota and Oakland after 3 innings, no score. San Diego and San Francisco, no score in the top of the 7th. And the Dodgers lead Atlanta 2-0 into the top of the 5th inning at LA. The Reds already have beaten Houston 4-1, so the magic number is at 3 for the Dodgers. Jack Heidemann leads off the Cardinals, 10th inning. He'll be followed by the pitcher Alan Roboski, and he will bat. They are going all the way with Roboski and Justy in this ball game. I would suppose that Murtaugh and Shadings will win it or lose it with these 2 guys. There are a host of writers in town for this series. Philadelphia writers, New York, Chicago, all over. Yeah, they certainly have had a lot to write about. Heidemann singled against Justy in the 8th inning. Fouls, back out of play, strike 1. Ball clubs had leads. The Pirates had a 5-run lead. The Cardinals had a 3-run lead going into the final 4 innings. But it's tied 9-9. Fastball inside on Heidemann, the count of 1-1. Justy staring in at Doug Harvey. Heidemann, a right-handed batter. Justy into the windup, the 1-1 delivery. And it is in there, taken strike 2. Good breaking ball by Dave. Pirates dropped 6 in a row on a road trip into Philadelphia and Montreal in the opening game of the series of the Cardinals. And Justy was not able to pitch in any of those games and was sorely missed. The 1-2 pitch. And it's up high, ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. St. Guillen had moved inside, trying to get Justy to jam Heidemann, but the ball sailed on him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hebner guarding the line at third base. Popovich at shortstop, playing kind of straight away. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and it is fly ball right field. Easy play for Richie Ziff. The right fielder pounds the glove. He's got it. That'll retire Heidemann. The pressure of a pennant campaign is bubbling over here in Busch Stadium this evening. Alan Hrabosky stepping in. This guy's a pretty good hitter. He sacrificed in the 8th inning and got on an error by Rennie Stennett in the 5th, the first error Stennett has made in 60 ball games. He had a string going and a kind of a questionable call. The official scorer ruling the error. He had to go deep into right field, almost collided with Parker, had the ball momentarily, and then dropped it. Fastball is in there, taking strike one. Hrabosky hitting even 300 as a starter. Pitch up high, 1 ball and 1 strike. He's had 3 hits and 10 times at bat, and has driven in a couple of runs. Throws left-handed, but bats right-handed. The 1-1 pitch by Dave. It's slow and away. Ball 2. Lou Brock waiting on deck. The 2-1 pitch by Justy, and it's grounded to third. It's foul. And Benson picking it off. Pirates, after stumbling early against the Cardinals in the early months of the season, have come back to dominate the series in an unbelievable ball game here in extra innings, tied 9-9 with 1 out in the Cardinal 10th. The 2-2 pitch by Justy. He has bounced off the right side. Stennett short hops, funny bouncing ball. He got him at first. Good play by Rennie on a funny hopping ball, but he stayed right with it. Hrabosky goes down the line pretty quickly. 2 up, 2 down in the Cardinals 10th inning. Lou Brock will be the batter. He's taking his time to give Hrabosky an opportunity to get back to the dugout. Brock got on in the 3rd inning on a ball that was hit to shortstop Tavares to his left. He bobbled the ball, but a hit was ruled on it. And it opened up a can of worms for Kenny Brett and the Pirates. As 1, 2, 3, 4 more hits followed, Brett was chased. After leading 5-0, the Cardinals got 6 runs in the 3rd to take the lead at that time, 6-5. I want to keep this guy out the base there. Foul right at the feet of Stanky, strike 1. With 2 down, and you get Brock on, you can better believe that he'd be off and moving to second base. That's the importance he has to this ball club, and you're talking about the most valuable player. His value to this ball club is hard to figure. The 0-1 pitch, pop ball, pops him up off the right side. Fitzpatrick has the play in foul territory. Near the railing, he's got it. That ball kept drifting and wasn't much more than a foot from the railing. Looked like an easy play, but kept drifting over there, and Kirkpatrick got right to the wall to make the grab. In the 10th inning, the Cardinals, like the Pirates, get down another. Now we'll go to the 11th inning. We're still tied, 9-9.
Listening for the Buccos in the left field line, and we're going to have Art Howe back in place of Dave Justy here in 11th. David carried it for a very strong 3 innings, no runs. As we go now into the 11th inning, this is the longest Hrabosky's pitched this year. He came on in the 5th inning with nobody out. Has gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 innings, now into his 7th. And it's... We've picked up off Hrabosky 3, 5, 6 base hits, and 2 earned runs, 1 unearned run, and it's his own fault in the 9th inning that Parker was able to score. He hatched an egg down there with a ball in behind third and couldn't get it up and throw him out. Arthur Howe standing in, swinging a miss, strike 1. And Jimenez, the right-hander, listening for the Bucks. We are in the 11th inning. Now the 0-1. He bunts the ball down toward third. It is a beauty. They throw, they don't get him. What a slide by him. I thought he was going to hurt his leg. He did a great job of running down there. And I think you're going to see Miguel Dillonier come in to run for Arthur. He has a base hit on a bunt. Caught reach down there deep. What a play by Arthur. Is he all right? I want to be concerned about him because he slid hard into that bag. He's all right. Miguel Dillonier is going in to run, and we'll pause for station identification on the Pirate Baseball Network.
All the good sports are on Pirate TV. Pittsburgh.
All right, Dillonier scored the winning run the other night from second base. Now, we got to get him up there somehow or other. How about a bug on the rug out in left field by Willie the Starge? Give me one of those doubles you hit off Roboski over in Pittsburgh, Wilbur, and you'll see some action on Dillonier's part. Down low, ball one. They don't look for Wilbur to bunt, but Reach is up tight at third regardless. Torrey holding on the bag at first. Cardinals getting some more action in their bully. Probably going to be Garman again. 1 ball and no strikes to Wilbur. Score tied 9-9 in the 11th inning. Roboski checks his runner, comes to the plate. Willie hits a high foul out of play. One ball and one strike. I'll say one thing for the Cardinals. They're not adverse to playing extra inning games. They played 25, 17, 13, now they're 11. They got a lot of extra inning games. The 1-1. Stargell fouls back. Ooh, curveball. He almost got a ripper on it. 1-2. Nine to 9 the score. Cardinals have won 12 and lost 4 in extra innings. We beat them here the other day. But they have played some awful long extra inning games. 1-2 to count. Dillonier running for Art Howe at first base. Here's the look by Roboski in the 1-2 pitch. He hits the chopper over first. We got a base hit. Dillonier will go to third. We got one of those little funny bouncers. Dillonier goes to third, and Reggie Smith runs the ball in. He's smart. That's the best thing. Don't throw it, son. Oh, Willie got a bouncer over first. And Dillonier just walked to third. I didn't see him come from first to third. That's how fast he was flying. He really ran around. Now the batter, the Cobra, Parker, doubled in the first on a bouncer over first. Hit by a pitch in the 9th inning and scored what turned out to be the tying run. Now go into your deep freeze act, Allen. Powell's out there a while now. Think about it.
Well, to give you an indication of Dillonier's speed, they clock runners from 60 feet and from 60 yards rather, and he ran 60 yards in 6.2 or 6.3.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: a short fly ball can get him home. The other night on the base hit by Hebner, Dillonier's about the only guy in our club that could have scored from second because he was flying. They bring the infield up to Parker. Here's the pitch. Down low, ball one. Now they're making Parker a .393 hitter. According to the averages, when you bring the infield up, get a long fly ball. Better yet, get a bug on the rug. Roboski on the 1-0 to Parker. Oh, good rip. Foul back 1-1. I don't know why I want to win this game, but there's something about it that makes me want to beat this guy. And that's a tribute to Roboski, if you really want to know it, because when he gets your adrenaline flying like that, you're up against a doggone great competitor. Alan Roboski. 1 ball and 1 strike to Parker. Stargell at first, Dillonier at third. Nobody out for 11th inning. Parker watches the curve away. 2-1. This is the longest Alan Roboski has gone. What a lift the Cardinals got. We packed them for 5 runs in the first inning. They came back for 6 in the third and 3 more in the 5th. But the Pirates have chipped away and have tied it. Now here in the 11th, runners at first and third, the 2-1 to Parker. He's swinging a net, 2-2 on a fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Art Howe started this off with a beautiful bunt down third, and he slid into feet first, beating the throw by Reach. Delaney ran for him. Stodgel bounced a hit over first. Delaney goes to third. The 2-2 to Parker. Foul back. Grabowski's not going into the deep freeze anymore. You can cancel the 11 o'clock news till we get this thing over with. We got to get a point right here. Runners at first and third. Nobody out. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Parker. Alan Grabowski on since the 5th inning. Getting his sign now from Simmons, and Parker steps out on Allen. A big play in the 9th inning with a 9-8 lead Cardinals. 1 out, Parker hit by a pitch. And then he came around to score. Here's the 2-2 to Dave. Low ball free. Boy, that was close. When he was hit by the pitch, then Sanguin ripped the drive up the middle. Big McBride foolishly tried to throw out Parker, hit him in the back. Parker then foolishly tried to score as the ball got away, but luckily for Pittsburgh, Grabowski backing the play, hatched an egg. He bounced that ball around, dribbled it, and by the time he could come up with it, Parker was in with a tying run. Had he fielded it cleanly, I don't think Parker could have scored. Now the count full, 3-2. Here's the pitch. And a foul back, and he's making Grabowski work. I'll tell you, there's something in this game that'll talk forever about it. In the setting of the game, fighting for the National League Eastern Championship, the Cardinals could be a half game in front when we leave for New York, or we can be a game and a half in front as we go to New York. It's riding here right at the very end of the trail. Arthur Howe opens up with a bunt single, legs it out. They run with him for Delaney. And then Stodgel gets a bouncing ball over first, and over to third goes Delaney. And a strike count now, 3-2 to Parker. Grabowski working. Here's the stretch. The 3-2 pitch. He stuck him out on ball 4. That was up there. That's one time that Dave was a little too active. Pitch was over his head. That's 10 strikeouts. Now we're going to have Sanguin try it. Hit a 3-run homer in the first inning, walked in the third, flied to right in the 5th, flied to right in the 7th, single to tie up the game in the 9th. I think that would have been ball 4 if Dave lays off it.
Yeah, it was a very bad pitch, Bob, up around the middle of the cap, but that's the exuberance of youth, I guess. And this is first year up here full time.
Well, he fouled off a lot of pitches, and he hung in there, and he watched a couple of real close ones. Now Grabowski's going to Sanguin. The infield remains up. We got to get one thing out of here, if nothing else, a fly ball. Delaney at third. We got to get some kind of a fly ball to the outfield. Better yet, a base hit. Cardinal infield is up. Outfield swung to the right on Sanguin. Here's the look, the pitch. He hit the high chopper over the head of shortstop. We got to run. And Stodgel stopped at second. The infield up cost him. Delaney, I'll tell you something. If it had been right through the shortstop Heidemann, he couldn't have thrown him out anyhow. He broke the moment that ball was hit. Now we lead 10-9.
They had to play the infield in, and he had to go on anything hit the infield because you got a left-hander coming up with 2 outs. Worth the chance.
Now we got first and second occupied, 1 away. We lead 10-9, and the batter's Kirkpatrick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0 for 5. Spanky, ding 1 now. Ding 1, Spanky. Jimenez is out warming. He's going to be the man to come in here and try to hold it. The look, the pitch. Long foul to right.
He took a shot there, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. First and second occupied. Well, we've had a bunt single and 2 bad hopping balls for a base hit to give us the lead of 10-9 here in the 11th inning. Grabowski now ready to come to the plate. There's a ball slammed out into right center field. Getting the gap. We got a bug on the rug. And it stays in play. They're going to bring in Sanguin. We're going to score a pair with a bug on the rug.
talk about a left-handed batter having to come through. It's a big base hit. That was certainly a big one for Ed Kirkpatrick. It gives us a pretty good margin here, and as we said, Bob, they had to, it gives you a good 3-run lead anyway, and they have to go to a
first, and I'm not going to...
No, I'm not talking about a lead, but I'm just saying it gives you some breathing room, certainly. And no lead is insurmountable. You look at this ball game tonight, it's quite obvious, but they were going to either win it or lose it with Alan Hrabosky, and they have now decided to make a pitching change. He'll go away from Hrabosky, and you're right, this guy got the adrenaline going, and he's got to get a tremendous ovation here for the job he's done for this ball club, not only tonight, but all throughout the season, and see what happens when he leaves the mound. He gave it quite a battle.
Well, he ought to get a big hand because he did battle him, and there's no question about that. And he's getting that big hand. They're standing up to for it. I'm glad to see that. This man really battled us, and there's no doubt about it. And he makes it to mad. That's why he's a darn good pitcher. So Hrabosky went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a third innings, the longest he's ever pitched this year. And in that time, he's charged with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's charged with 4 runs and 1 unearned run. Total of 5 came in while he was pitching. Now in the base hit department, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 base hits off Hrabosky. And he struck out a ton, 9 of us. And he walked, he hit a batter. That hurt him, cost him a run. He didn't walk anybody. So Mike Garman, what's he, Nellie?
He is 6-2, Bob. He's had 6 saves this year.
Good.
Mike Garman, an earned run average of 2.59. He worked briefly last night. Got touched up rather quickly.
Now Paul Popovich, who's playing it short, standing in, 0 for 1, batting left-handed against Garman. Runner out at second, Kirkpatrick. What a big double on the bug and the rug for Spanky. Ball 1. Right out into the gap in left center, and what a break we got. The ball hit the top of the wall and stayed in. And when it did, that allowed Spanky to come in with a very big run. Garman throws a strike. Spanky was wheeling all the way from first base.
Spanky's been laying in the weeds all evening, hasn't he?
Yep, just baiting the trap. Just baited the trap. 1-1, Popovich, high pop into shallow center, McBride. 2 out. Now the batter's going to be Richie Zisk. Richie's 0 for 2 tonight. 7th man up, Richie Zisk in this inning. 3 runs for the Buccos. They lead 12-9. Looking into the Cardinals' 11th, they have Sizemore, Smith, and Simmons, so don't breathe too easily. And we're coming in with a rook by, a rookie by Busch, but he's been around a while. This young man, Jimenez. Juan Antonio Jimenez will be the oncoming pitcher. This kicks a ball from Garman, who is the 5th pitcher of the night. And there's a ball slammed out into left center. Coming up for it, McBride. He grabbed it. That'll retire the side, but we get 3 runs on 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Strand a runner, go to the bottom of the 11th. Buccos 12, the Cardinals 9.
Well, the Pirates lead 12-9. Their top reliever, Dave Justy, was pinch hit for, and Danny Murtaugh, who's had a lot of patience and confidence in young pitchers, has certainly shown that, I guess. He has gone to a fellow named Juan Jimenez. If he sounds new to you, he is. Because this year, he started with the Charleston Charlies and came up after their season was over at Charleston this year. In 26 ball games, he started 16, completed 8 of them, and he won 6 and lost 9. In 141 innings of pitching, gave up 133 hits. He walked only 30, struck out 64, and had an earned run average of 2.68. He's a native of the Dominican Republic. He's 6'1", 182 pounds. And in 1972, he didn't play at all. I think he started out in the Philadelphia Philly organization. It used to be at Spartanburg was their ball club, and whether it was at that time, I don't know. He started out originally in the Houston organization. Now, Bob, here's a fella that I'm sure. In April or May, down at Charleston, had no idea he'd be in a ball game as big as this. But he certainly is right now.
Yes, he is. We started with Brett, then Demery, who was then the losing pitcher. Then Moran came on to be the losing pitcher. Then Justy came on to be the winner. And he's there right now if Jimenez can hold it for him. They've switched their guys around, too. Force started out to be a loser. Grabowski is a loser. Osteen was to have been a loser. I'll tell you, they've been all kinds of things going on. Sizemore, 1 strike. Sizemore, 2 hits and 5 at-bats, has scored a run. In the bottom of the 11th inning, Pittsburgh leading 12-9. Everything riding on this one. Curveball hammered off the glove of Hebner, diving up there for it. The base hit. He leaps high to get it. Sizemore has a single. Hebner leaped for it to hit in his glove and went in behind him. Now Reggie Smith, who's 3 for 5. Drove in a run, scored a run. He's had 3 singles. We're warming Minchell and Darrell Patterson. We need a Hoover right here. It's going to be tough to get with this guy. Kirkpatrick in behind. The pitch is outside, ball 1. Pittsburgh leading 12-9. Nobody out as Jimenez is on the pitch, and Sizemore got a base hit off the glove of Hebner in the left. Richie leaped high, and it just skipped off his glove into left field. Sinking pitch low, 2-0. Ball 2 and no strikes. Oh, what a big game this is. It's a 1.5 for us or a half game for them. Ball 3. No strikes. 1 on and none out in the 11th inning. And they call ball 4. They have 2 men on, nobody out. That's the 3rd walk. And up comes Simmons. Now Simmons got on an error at 3rd. And hit a perfect double play ball to Hilton in the 3rd, and the ball took a bad hop and went over his head. Broke his bat and singled in the 5th and scored. Lined out the best ball he's hit all night to left field, and he was out. Hey, we've had more hits both ways. Bloops, bleeders, and all kinds of things. It's unbelievable. So we're leading 12-9, but they got 2 men on and nobody out. And he slams the drive into the gap into right center field. Going to score 2 runs. No, it isn't. Going to only score 1. They held up the runner. Double, and they held up Smith. And out comes Osborne. Well, let's see what I said about Nelly. 3 runs isn't enough. Now Osborne's coming out. And Joe Torre is going to be the batter. With runners at 2nd and 3rd and none out, the Cardinals need 2 to tie. 1 to win. This has been a real wild one, and they're bringing in Jim Minchell now. He's the 7th pitcher of the night. And in all the years I've been in baseball, I haven't been locked in too many wild and woolly ones like this. Minchell. All right, Bob Minchell's coming on. He's big and tall. He's 6'6", 215-pounder, and with Charleston this year. Had a record of 2-1. He's had a brief appearance in the National League. Not too many appearances, just 2. And 1 1/3 inning. Walked a couple of batters. Struck out 1. Hasn't given up a hit yet. He has a very good arm, but at this time of a ball game, speed is not the most prominent thing you're looking for. And I'm sure Juan Jimenez gets a little bit overcome by the pressure of a game like this, and you might expect it from a rookie coming into a ball game such as this. Remember last year when Bob Apodaca came into a ball game in Pittsburgh
in the 11th inning. He couldn't throw a ball over the plate at all. Walked two batters. They brought Busch Capper on, and somehow he nailed down the win for it. So, who knows? Might happen here.
So far, he hasn't thrown a strike in his warm-up pitches.
It's a tough time for anybody to pitch in a ball game as big as this, but for a guy who's never appeared in the major leagues, it's just compounded. I don't care how calm and collected you are. There's a difference between Charleston and Thetford Mines and Busch Stadium, and particularly at this time of the year.
Well, I'll tell you what we need, about 2 pop-ups and a strikeout. Joe Torre coming in now. Joe's 1 for 4. Scored 2 runs, had a broken bat single to knock in a run. It's 12-10 Pittsburgh, and I told you at the start of the game we might see a wild and woolly one, and little did I know how wild and woolly it would be. Both starting pitchers, Brett and Force, have been long gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Pittsburgh. 5 for the Cardinals. The infield back pitch to Torrey by Mitchell. Throws it low, ball 1. End of 6th inning. Dodgers lead Atlanta 2-0. The Reds have won their game 4-1 over Houston. Here's the 1-0 from the right-handed Mitchell. And it's slammed up towards Stennett. He goes over to grab it quickly. Throws it away for an error. A run scores. They're coming for the tying run. They get it. Stennett threw one away, and the game is tied at 12-12, and Torrey has gone to second. They put in a runner for Torrey. No runs batted in. The game tied at 12-12. And that's one time that Rennie had an easy out, just happened to throw it away. And on Torrey, he'd have had an out, and the funny part about it is the runner at third didn't break. And I think Stennett took his eye off. This is McBride, the batter. He bunts the ball. Mitchell. He throws it. No. They don't get in. They got runners at first and third. Base hit. Oh, this is something. Now we're going to bring the infield and the outfield up to reach. And the Cardinals are in a great chance to win this one with nobody out. That's an unfortunate error on Rennie Stennett here in the 11th inning. They wouldn't have scored on that ball because their runner wasn't going. Smith held at third. And they'd have thrown out the man. They'd have had runners at second and third with one out with McBride batting. Infield up to reach. Strike one. Swinging. Now from the stretch, Shanley delivery. Foul, no play. Strike 2. Well, this is a heartbreaker. It's not over yet, but the odds are now almost insurmountable. Jimenez saw Sizemore bunt for get a base hit off Hebner's glove. He walked Smith. Simmons doubled in 2 runs, and then came the error. Doubled in 1 run. Then came the throwing error. The 0-2 to reach. Foul ball, half first. Fired infield up, the outfield all the way in. Any kind of a fly ball, and it's all over. And the Cardinals will be in first place by a half game. Pirates had a 5-0 lead in the first inning. Came back to overcome the big lead the Cardinals picked up and go ahead by 3 in the 11th inning to see the Cardinals come back and tie. Runners at first and third, nobody out. Struck him out swinging, one out. Now we're going to have Dwyer come up and bat for Heidemann. He has 2 homers, 10 runs batted in. We're still playing the outfield and the infield up. Dwyer, left-hand batter. Strikeout on Reese for the 4th. Should have been the 3rd out of the inning. We're still looking for 2 more. Left-hand batting Dwyer. Pop him up. Strike. Jim Mitchell, a young rookie, is battling here. Out of Busch. 0-1 the count. Again the stretch to the left-hand batting Dwyer. Down underneath for the ball, 1-1. He's staying low with him. Ball 1, strike 1. 1 out. Score tied 12-12 in the bottom of the 11th inning. Infield, outfield up. Here's the 1-1 to Dwyer. Fly ball, that's it. Very deep right. The game is going to be over. This will catch it. But that man from third will score with a winning run. And the Cardinal bench goes wild as we hand them a ball game. And you'd think they'd won the pennant. They have only gone in front of us by a half game, and they have come from way back to win an impossible ball game. No question about that. All 3 runs are unearned that allow the Cardinals, or the 4 runs are unearned that allow the Cardinals to come out and win it 13-12.
You know, when a pitcher's out there on the mound, he has to do a lot of things right at the same time. He has to pick the right pitch, throw it at the right speed, and put it in the right spot. And if he's doing even one of those things wrong, chances are he's going to be treated to an early shower. The combination has to be there. And it's the same way with beer. Making a great beer, like Iron City, requires a combination that has to be just right. Take ingredients. Iron City beer is made with all natural ingredients. The barley, hops, everything is natural. But that by itself is not enough, because it takes care. And an understanding of what their customers want in a beer. Yes, Iron City beer is brewed with extreme care right here in Pittsburgh by people who understand a beer drinker's taste buds. And it all adds up to rich, robust, full-bodied Iron City beer. And it's waiting for you right now at your favorite distributor and your friendly neighborhood tavern. Enjoy all the goodness in Iron City beer. When you're really ready to pour on the iron.
Well, the Cardinals won a very, very big one, no denying that. It's a very big one for them. And after the Buccos had battled back like they did to go out in front by the score of 12-9, only to throw it away in the 11th inning. Ball hit by Sizemore, we didn't catch. Then we walked Smith. Then Simmons hits a double. And then with Mitchell pitching, we get a 2-base error that allows 2 runs to score. And they get a base hit. And it looked like we might get out of it, but Dwyer hit a fly ball to deep right. And that did it. And then came the pinch runner to score the winning run. Reese hit a homer in the 5th, one on his 7th. And Sanguin in the first 2 on his 7th. Pirates had a 5-0 lead in the first inning. Saw the Cardinals score 6 in the 3rd and 3 in the 5th to take a 9 lead. We came back for 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 9th to tie, and 3 runs in the 11th inning to go out in front 12-9. And then to see it go like that. Brett, Demery, Moreland, Hernandez, Justy, Jimenez, who's the loser, who's 0-1, and Mitchell. And 4 of them, Forks, Folkers, Osteen, Robosky, and Garman will get the victory. Well, that's about all you can say. It's going to be a long ride to New York, and I'll tell you one thing. The Buccos now won't get in until about 5 in the morning, and they're going to have a short night tonight to go at Kuzman and the Mets tomorrow. Nellie?
Yeah, the tough thing about that, Bob, a game like this makes you pound your pillow. And I'm sure Danny Murtaugh will be asked a few questions about why a guy like Jerry Rice or Juan Pizarro didn't pitch the last inning in a ball game as big as this one. And he went with a couple of youngsters that he thought, I guess, could do the job for him, and he'd be ready for the New York Series. But this game was a big one for both ball clubs, and the Cardinals went right out and got it in the bottom of the, whatever the inning was, the 12th or 13th, the 11th inning. And they did it against a couple of minor league pitchers, and Jimenez and Minchel. Well, we lose one. One that we should have won, but we won 2 out of 3 here, and that ain't bad either. We're only a half game out, and tied now in the loss column with St. Louis, but you can rationalize all you want. That game's going to be stuck in the craw. A lot of players in this ball club, and the flight to New York tonight. We'll be on the air tomorrow from New York City to continue this wild Eastern Division race. Our broadcast will be tomorrow from Shea Stadium, and game time is at 8:05 there, so we'll be on the air about 7:50. For Charlie Demars, our engineer, good to be with him, and for Bill Richards, our producer, back at KDKA, and for the gunner, Bob Prince, Nellie King saying so long. This game was brought to you in part by your Pirate Land Chrysler Plymouth dealer, who has immediate delivery on America's #1 selling compact. By Joy, nature's high-protein food for dogs. Higher in protein, and it still costs less than most other brands. And by Iron City Beer. When you're really ready to pour it on the iron. The final score, the Cardinals, in a miraculous finish, score 4 runs in the bottom of the 11th inning to beat the Pirates in a football score 13-12. This is the Pirates Baseball Network.